Let's do it. I'm Black Hannibal, running through your capital on elephants. Civilize a savage with my elegance. Militant intelligence, run through your defense. Strike like a ninja, slice, cut, and injure. Leave no prisoners, just bodies on the battlefield. I'm Spartacus with a sword and shield. Something like a marksman with cold blue steel. War paint on my face, keep my identity concealed. Advance on your camp like dozens of killer ants. Snatch your king like chess, checkmate is his death. While my team have fun with your queen. Throw your bishops off the roof, your knights flee the scene. I plant bombs in the home of your pawns. The detonation shook the foundation of your rooks. Holding shotguns with double barrels. They impact so hard when it blasts through your body travels. Street Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Burn your flag as I overthrow your government. New politics, no Democrats and Republicans. Spiritual systems built by wise men who's true in living. The foundation's no longer Christian. Teaching universally the wisdom of the nations. New currency, no more dollar bills with white faces. No more Caucasian domination. All races participating, cultivating education. The people hungry and they ain't waiting. No more debating. Let's overthrow the haven to Satan. This whole world needs some new changes. Rulers with new faces. It's time to take out the racists. Spartacus from the new ages. From the page to the stage, pull a blade on the money changers. Spartacus from the new ages. From this page to the stage, pull a blade on the money changers. Yo, peace, pound, prosperity, Rob Black Storm. What's going on? It's Sunday, baby. The day of the sun. Shout out to Miss Eileen Sophia. Shout out to Ultra Instinct, aka Hollow. All right. And we are here. All right. Thank you guys for tapping in. It's a Sunday night. Right now it's 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if you are not, a lot of people on the East Coast are going to bed. They're going to watch this on the replay. Shout out to you for coming here. I appreciate you. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your time. Give yourself a round of applause for tapping in with the gods. All right. Shout out to the spiritual homie. Okay. And as you guys come in, I'll shout you out. If I ain't, pulling up some slides and things like that. I appreciate y'all for all the love and all the new subscribers. Thank you for tapping in. Want to address this real quick, and then we're going to go into today's lecture. Peace to Tiffany Shockney, okay? Thank you guys for tapping in with me. I appreciate it, all right? This is interactive as well, You guys have comments. You guys have questions on anything we're talking about. Don't hesitate to tap in with me while I'm doing this, This is for y'all. I do this work. I've been doing this work off and on, to be honest, since 1996, and I always have to come back on because if you look at my chart, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I have done enough work over the years to tap into some psychic abilities, and being that I have them, I've had them, some of them since I was a child. I've talked about them before, but I don't want to really talk about them too much because I don't want people testing my spiritual gangster, But peace to Ren tapping in. All right. I appreciate you. Thank you for your support. Hit that like button, y'all. You know how I don't ask y'all for much. I ain't trying to sell y'all nothing. I got a job. But, one day, who knows, this may be my job. You know what I'm saying? So when we come into this, I wanted to, but let me tap into this. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This makes me, do this just to see y'all coming in. Somebody had hit me, and it was in my email. And it was basically someone telling me like I'm teaching people how to do evil and that I shouldn't, be talking about Nature Boy, Rashad Jamal, Brother Polite, the government takes all our leaders down and they try to take people out that are waking us up, and you're telling people to do the wrong thing, and you're telling people that long thing. I was going to put on a slide, but I don't want to embarrass the brother. Sounds like a young man searching just like I was at one time, and was inspired by these brothers. There's nothing wrong with being inspired by someone. We all have teachers. I've had my teachers, and I still have teachers. I still look at somebody like, oh, Ultra Instinct knows. We in some of the same chats. He sees me donating to some of the same chats, aka Hollow. So I still listen to people. I still learn. The minute you think you know everything, you'll quickly realize that you know nothing, right? Because the information always changes, and light is information. And the more light that's on the planet is the more information you will be deriving, right? And it's the more you grow. It's like a tree, right? The tree needs water, right? Which is a flow state, which means movement, right? In fact, in a lot of ancient rituals, they won't let you do um, water work to Yemaya or Olorun, these water deities, or Olokun, I should say, in still water, right? They want you to do it in like an ocean, a river, where the current is constantly moving. So we are like trees, the chlorophyll corresponds to your U melanin in your body, right? So you need light. The tree needs sunlight, you need light, right? And the light is information. And as you are flowing towards whatever your purpose is, and as you are getting light, which is information, right? Just like a tree branches out and goes in different directions, right? But it's always going to be aiming or going towards the light. This is the same way when you're doing this type of work, you will be aiming and going towards the light. And the goal is to grow. The goal is not to just get book knowledge, right? If like, a lot of people don't understand the tree of life, and it's one of the things, and I'll do the tree of life that's coming up soon. So look out for that, where I decode the tree of life and show you, because you need a map to understand different spiritual principles. And if you believe, like, all these brothers, they never took any of this to trial, right? They never said, oh, I've never heard these guys say I'm innocent, you know, but I've heard these guys do things. I've heard Nature Boy say he wants, his child touched his private parts, and that he has sexual relations while his child is in the bed, right? Deviance, you know what I'm saying? I've seen, the woman that Rashad, and I know a little bit about Rashad Jamal's situation, but I know he got 17 years, so there's got to be some DNA evidence. The polite thing, there's DNA evidence, right? There's all these different things coming up that beg the question. If you ask Rob Blackstorm, right, and I'm not going to spend too much time with this because I did a whole live on it, but if you ask Rob Blackstorm, right, and you accuse me of something sexually deviant, best believe the God is taking it to trial. I'm taking it to trial, and we're going to purge that shit off my name, because the one thing you have is your name, and I'm purging the shit out of that. Okay, you're not gonna call me no sexual deviant and think I'm just gonna cop a plea. I don't care what it is. I don't care what's going on. We fighting that to the end, and I'm going with the deity Ochozi, right? I'm doing some spiritual work with the god of justice, the hunter Ochozi, right? So I will be victorious no matter what machinations, because I am optimistic. And being optimistic, being that I'm a mystic, I'm optimistic, meaning that I think that everything, I've deluded myself over time, and this is what I'm trying to teach y'all. I've deluded myself over time through repetition, through symbolism, right? Through moving with the current of this energy, through trial and error, me going through hardships in relationships, because relationships show you who you truly are. When you have breakups and things like that, you want to look at those things, and you want to see who you truly are, and see, are you holding, what are you holding back? What are you not doing? What mistakes did you make in the relationships? Like, oh, a lot of people in relationships just want to blame the other person. That it's not just the other person. You want to look at what you did and how you have to adjust yourself moving forward, right? So when we're talking about these situations of sexual deviancy, and you're thinking that the government is out to get someone, I mean, there's Brother Panic out here, there's Bobby Hemmett, there was C. Freemanell, There's Malcolm Black Dot, right? There's Blue and Red, um, you know, and so forth and so on. And we could keep going and keep going. Blue pill, I mean, and we could keep going and going and going. These guys are not being accused of sexual deviancy. Farrakhan's not being accused of sexual deviancy. No matter what you feel about these people, this is not what's popping up. See, the thing is, we don't want to protect the babies, right? Because we want to hear things that say, and tap into our victim consciousness, right? There's a victim consciousness that's purging the melanated community. And it's been purging it for a while because in 2023, we still think we're in 1963, right? We still think we're in the 60s before the civil rights era. And we got to bang on the white man, and we got to bang on the government, and we got to bang on the system and the secret societies and things like that. Instead of us banging on our hearts, instead of us banging on our brains, instead of us banging in actions, right? In repetitious actions. A lot of y'all, and not y'all, but y'all, who it applies to, have traded in the church for the conscious community. And the conscious community, the Sinetters and all of them, and I'm not blaming him or saying he had anything to do with the whole polite situation. I'm just, to me, he's the face right now of it with all the debates and all that. It's become the con you community. How quick can they con you out of your pockets? All right. That's what this is becoming. And if you don't have your third eye open, if you just want to hear what tickles your ear and what sounds right to you, and you're not willing to do the work, then please go back to church. Like, follow somebody. You know what I'm saying? Become a great follower. TD Jakes gets the most super chats on YouTube. He'll take you in with open arms. He'll take you back. They'll take you back. I promise you. They'll love to have your tithes. They'll love to big the super mega church. And go back. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. But when you do this, you have to come to the realization that you are God and you are a divine being. And the whole goal is to make sure you are the highest, greatest, most powerful version of yourself. The goal is for you to enhance your electromagnetic field. The goal is for you to tap into your Christ consciousness, right? The goal is for you to become one with the universe. The goal is for you to realize that you are magical. The goal is for you to realize and study yourself, study your brain, study your body. This is hard work. This is hard work. This isn't for everybody. The older I get, the more I understand the metaphor of the 144,000. And I said old, forgive me. The more I age, the more I understand the 144,000, right? That metaphor, that symbolism, being that there's really a limited amount of people that really are going to be doing this work and really want to ascend to the highest of heights. It's not, peace to Philip Boone. It's not that, we are perfect or better than anyone or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But the goal is to recognize that evil must exist. Like, and when you see all these things happening, right? And when you see the rise of ratchet rap, especially from women, right, who deliver babies and are life givers and creators, right? This is designed to show you more of who you are, not to demonize them or not to judge, because you was once there at one time. You didn't always have this information. So I just want to address that. And if you are ghost watching, brother, if you watch the replay, I love you. You know what I'm saying? All I sent back as an email was peace. I didn't even strike back or say anything, and I'm not doing that now. But if you need somebody to just follow and you just want to believe because you want to bang the system, you want to tear down the white man, and you black powered up and you feel like the government's after every one of your teachers and leaders, and that's the only way you'll wake up, and you got this. You got this. This is enough to wake you up. Your ancestors didn't have that. Malcolm, Martin, Sojourner Truth, motherfucking Fannie Lou Hammer, Harriet Tubman, XYZ, they didn't have this. They didn't have this. We're in the information age. This is a new day. You don't need a billion teachers. In fact, you should be using this to fact check all your teachers. I told you guys before, when you come to one of these, you want to have a pen and a pad, right? To write things down. When I watch people and speakers, I write things down. I take notes. Why? So I can fact check their ass. You should be fact checking me, right? One time Hollow told me I said something wrong. I put it in the comments. I told him, yo, tell me, even during the live, tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I said Leo meant Leo was I am, and it was I will. I made a mistake. It wasn't to mislead y'all, it was just a mistake. But I want to be right. I want to tell y'all the truth. That's my goal. All right. So I just want to say that. And there's no harm, no foul if you leave, you unsubscribe. You know what I'm saying? I ain't here for the subscribers. I'm here for those who want to grow and those who want to learn. So now, with that being said, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this particular lecture. Hopefully y'all are all right. Now, it's a lot of things going on in the world right now. We got the whole Ukraine crisis. We got migrants coming into New York and all these democratic cities, Chicago, overrunning it. We got these new mask mandates, the new fear of the hokey pokey and the new fear of the new variants. And we got, these strange weather patterns, right? Talking about a hurricane's going to hit New York. Shout out to everybody who's hitting me about the hurricane and that it's coming. It's going to hit New York. I appreciate y'all telling me that. But again, I'm optimistic. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all making me aware. I told y'all last I got my bug out bags. Literally look at it just in case something happens. So these are things you should have as well. And if it is going to flood a storm, guess what? Rob Black Storm going to be surfing. I'll be surfing on the storm. I'm going to be surfing on the hurricane. If I can't surf, I'm gonna be all right because I'm just so fucking blessed. And I'm not saying this as arrogance. I want you to feel this way as well, right? This is work over time will get you to this point, but you have to be repetitive with it. But there's a lot. There's war in Ukraine. There's beef with China. There's beef with Russia. There's just all type of things happening in the world right now, and high gas prices, drill rappers, bricks, extreme child suicide, shout out to his real light. All right. There's extreme suicide right now on children, which people are not talking about, right? You hear all these manosphere, womansphere, who's going 50-50, who's not going 50-50, but nobody gives a fuck about the babies. Nobody gives a fuck about the black children or the melanated children committed suicide at rates that are super high. Nobody talks about that, right? Because the children are the least protected. Okay. But if you're going through these stresses, and whatever personal stresses, people are losing their jobs, they're losing their cars, there's eviction rates are crazy, things that you don't see on the internet that people don't post because all people are doing is posting their highlights of what's happening. But a lot of people are going through the struggle right now. And people are looking for salvation. And this is how a lot of people are getting caught, right? In what's in being, conned and being manipulated, So there's a spell that has been casted over the black and brown communities. And there's a reason that is spiritual as to why we aren't, as a mass group, right, rising up. And this spell is insidious, right? And it is a silent weapon for a quiet war, right? The chains are not on your body anymore. The chains are on your brain. So I want to go into some science, letting you know, some spiritual science, letting you know who you are, some symbolism that you could tap into and show you what this spell is, what it looks like, how it's been presented, things you may not know, and how you could break the fuck up out of it, right? That's doing the work, right? As Dreamwise, shout out to Dreamwise says, fuck woke, do work, right? That's what we're here for. So let me pull this up. Y'all all right out there? Y'all all right? Let me pull this up. Y'all know how we do around here. While I'm doing this, you could smash that like button. All right. And let's do this right make sure y'all can see. It is raining out here, so if things happen like the last time I did lives, you know, um, I'll be back as I did before. Okay, so let's talk about what we're looking at here, which is on a Orisha. Okay, so we talked about this last live. All right, Orisha means select head. When we're talking about select head, what we're talking about is different personalities. For instance, when you go to work, right? If you work a secular job, even if you have your own business, right? You are doing things that are different than what you do when you're sitting home by yourself, right? You're much more relaxed, you're much more comfortable. Your head is different, the energy is different. When you are talking to a woman or a man that you love or that you're into, the energy is different, the spirit is different, right? So when you are at a new hammer, right? The energy is different. When you're in school, right, versus when you're around your kids, that children, the energy is different, right? You're learning at school, your kids, you probably teaching, right? So it's different energy. So it's different heads or different hats that you put on. So the premise of this is Jesus or Orisha, okay? Is Jesus or Orisha? Is Jesus or Orisha God? And I'm going to make the case that he is. And I'm going to show you the power of Jesus. And this is not to tell you to run to Christianity, but I am going to show you that it is very powerful and it is a spell that has the whole world captivated and how this spell has been implemented. Okay. So Orisha, spell Orisha in the Yoruba language, West African spirituality, okay, which I covered last video. Orisha in Latin America is a spirit who reflects one of the manifestations of the supreme divinity. Aludumare, Olorun, Olifi in Yoruba tradition. Orisha are said to have existed in the spiritual world or astral plane, Orun, or lived as human beings in the planetary world, or Aye. Others are said to be others are said to be humans who are recognized as deities due to their extraordinary feats. Many Orishas have found their way to most of the New World as a result of the Atlantic slave trade and are now expressed in practices as varied as Santeria, Candomblé, Trinidad Orisha, Umanda Oyotune, and among others, there's Caribbean or Jamaican Obia, which I would include in there as well. So these are indigenous spiritual traditions that have come here by way of, the transatlantic slave trade and things like that. So when you understand what an Orisha is, right? Now there's two different ideas when you're talking about Orishas. Peace to Foxy Moon coming in. All right. There's different ideas when you talk about Orishas. And there's some people that say, depending on which religion, right? Or occult religion or esoteric religion, right? West African traditional religion, you could call it. There's some people that say the Orishas, like Oshun, Ogun, things like that, right, are old ancestors who passed away, right, or actual physical beings like Rob Blackstorm. I pass away, people memorialize me, just like you might, spray paint Oya, you know what I'm saying, things like that. You might spray paint. So your boy dies or your homegirl dies, they have a mural, you light candles, they spray paint them on the wall, like here in the Bronx, Big Pun is on the wall, you know what I'm saying, out here still to this day, right? Memorialized, right? And over time, that memorialization over and over and over, the reverence, right? The energy of communication will render that person Orisha, right? Let's even talk about Big Pun to the rappers, right? We know Big Pun was a big guy, right? He ate a lot of food, but he was a skilled wordsmith, right? So he would more likely, if you're looking at Orishas, he would more likely be associated with like I would even say a Legba type character, right? Or if you're looking even at Greek deities, Mercury, because of his swiftness with rapping and his proficiency with rapping, even though he was a big guy, right? Also, he would probably want offerings of food, right? He was a big guy, so you put the big piece of chicken, right? Big Pun would get the lion's share of chicken as an offering. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a big dude. That's how it works. So some people say that he's some people say they are actual people. Some people say that they are actual, just spirits that are already out there. I'm more of the energy that they're just nature spirits than people. You believe what you want when it comes to that, but this is just for the premise to show you the power of Orisha, whether it be a dead ancestor or just an actual force of nature. And even a dead ancestor is an actual force of nature. You get me? So let's continue going, right, to the next joint. Um, so that's the Orisha. So now we want to talk about where the devil came from, okay? Because we all know the devil and demons, right, and evil spirits have been a staple amongst those of us who live in urban communities. Even our parents have told us, oh, watch out, it's the devil. And, people saying, oh, the devil made me do it. And even in the so-called occult or esoteric communities, watch out for those evil spirits, or, make sure you're wearing protection at all times, and things like that. While that is valid, as I've always said, this devil or this demon is the animal nature within you. So here's a visual representation. So you have Sha or Set, right? And this is basically, if you look at this picture, right, you'll see that it is an actual animal. Set is where you get the name Satan. Remember, in ancient times, there is no such word. Even demon and devil, all those things didn't come into language until the 1200s. Okay. So we have a history that goes back thousands upon thousands of years. They're finding bones of us and our ancestors that are millennia years old, right? Through carbon dating. So we have a history that far outpaces Christianity, far outpaces any of these things. And as I told you last video, right, a lot of the things of the devil they got from Eshu or a Legba, right? So go watch the last video with the sexy red and things like that, and Brother Polite and all that. But I talked about that. So we'll read this real quick. Set, also known as Sha, has its origin in, and remember, we just talked about Orisha, right? But this animal is called Sha, right? But it's also Set, right? And you see, it's not an animal that you could really place. Is it a dog? Is it a cat? Right? Is it a aardvark? Right? Is it an anteater? Right? And it's abstract like this because it represents just that animal nature, or that animal principle within you. You are an animal. You have a mammalian brain. You have a mammalian body. You have our R complex, reptilian complex, right? Which is basically runs up the spine, up into the cerebellum, right? The back of your head. That is your arm complex. So the cerebellum all the way down to your spine is called the reptilian complex, right? So you literally have a snake in you. You literally eat animals. We discussed this last video. This is believed, so we're going to the second sentence. It is believed to have existed in ancient times. Let me make sure y'all here. All right. It is believed to have existed in ancient Egyptian times and is considered to be sacred to the god Set. But what the animal itself was is a complete mystery. According to the ancient Egyptian religion, or the Egyptian mystery school system, Set is known as the god of storms, disorder, deserts, violence, destruction, and chaos. Set's realm was the red land of death, the desert, as opposed to the black life-giving land of the Nile. The Nile, or this area of ancient Africa, or Al-Kabulan, whatever you want to call it, right, was called Kemet, right? Kem meaning the black land, meaning the soil, but also meaning the darker hued or the melanated people. So as Set was known as the Greek typhoon, the Set animal was also called the typhonic beast or typhonian animal. So we've been taught about all these demons and everything's demonic and this thing is going to get you. But the Cometians had an idea and they knew through research, through study, through experimentation, through direct ancestral communication. Remember, I didn't say ancestral worship. I said ancestral communication. Two different things, right? You could worship a motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? I could worship this remote and believe that because I worship this remote, that something good is going to happen. Basically, the placebo effect, right? The placebo effect is They say 50 to 60% of the medication that you are taking is not real. Okay, it's just a placebo. It's just somebody. Why does my thing look like this? But anyway, it's a placebo effect. So it's basically just you getting sugar pills, right? And what it is, it's really your imagination. You believing that the medication is helping you. You believing that the medication is going to work for you. You believing that this is an antibiotic or whatever. And that's what actually is causing you. It's basically causing you to heal or causing you to feel better, right? Causing you to, I forgot what the word is, convalesce, right? Causing you to get right with yourself, so to speak. So this is so you have been taught that there is some outside devil and there's some outside demon. Now, are there some evil spirits? Absolutely, right? Absolutely, because if there's benevolent spirits or benevolent energy, then there's obviously a yin and a yang or polarity, which we discussed last video. So there has to be an opposite energy. But we've been taught, right, repetitiously about fear, about being scared, right? About following God, about following Jesus, about following Muhammad, right? About following the Buddha, following, right? And to fear something out there, and that your salvation is also from something out there. Okay. Now, let's continue. So I don't want to be here all night. Y'all know last one I did a 3 hour tonight. So this is where your demonology comes from. That's right. You read it right. If you're reading this picture, it is from King James. Okay. King James created demonology. King James, that King James Bible, your mama got in the house, you might have in the house, right? Your auntie, people will tell you, get out of all that stuff, boy. That stuff is the devil. You learning about Orishas and you learning about mysticism and you learning about the esoterics and you learning about occultism. That stuff is the devil. That stuff is demonic. You bringing demons in my house. Don't be bringing those candles in my house. Don't be talking about there is no other God but Jesus. All I need is Jesus. Jesus gonna take care of everything for me. No matter what I do, Monday through Saturday, all I got to do is go to church on Sunday. And hallelujah, I'm blessed. Who doesn't? I remember, I was talking to when I was going through my waking up, right? I was talking of my awakening. I was talking to this particular preacher, right? And he was telling me, he was preaching to me, and we was going through like a little verbal sparring, so to speak. And I remember him telling me, I asked him, I said, yo, what if Hitler, this is what I told him. I said, what if Hitler at his deathbed said, read the Psalms, the prayer, Psalms 23, yea, thou walk through the valley of death, I shall feel no evil, blah, 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 and said he gave his life to Christ. Would he go to heaven? You know what the preacher told me? Yeah. He told me, yeah. I said, so Hitler could do all this shit, kill all these JEWs, right? Do all this, and not only that, they don't talk about the melanated beings that got experimented on too during that time, right? And do all this cleansing, and all he got to do at the end of it is when he goes to his deathbed, all he has to do is say that he believes, right? Ultra instinct, exactly. All dogs go to heaven, right? Exactly. See, I understand the allure of Christianity, right? I understand why some people might even dibble in this and dibble in that, for security and safety. I understand when people turn 50, 60, 70, and they may have studied all this and read all this, but they ain't do no work. They just had a lot of knowledge that sounded good to their friends so they could sound smart and pump up their ego, right? And then they go back to the church. I understand why the old lady who may have been thotting all her life till she got older, all of a sudden she goes to the church and she thinks she could save me outside of the goddamn A&P. and the Met. Shout out to the New Yorkers. Y'all know A&P and Met, right? And what's the other one? Pioneer and all, these stores. And outside the store or on the train, thinking you could tell me about salvation because you done lived your life and went through, and now you old and you scared that you're gonna go to hell because that's what King James taught you, right? In demonology. And this is a real book. You could look this up. Everything I say you should look up and research, right? So this is what you've been taught. You've been taught demonology, right? Through the Bible. And most Christians, as I have on the right, have no clue that King James of Bible fame wrote a book about punishing witches, especially with the title being demonology. Now, I've said this many times before. Damon, again, you can look up the etymology, which is the history of words yourself, as you should. Demon means knowing spirit. I should have put that in parentheses, but knowing spirit, knowing spirit or Jesus, right? That was a demon coming out of me through the burp. And knowing spirit of genius, right? And what that means is this, right? When you look at an animal, a dog, a cat, a pig, a hog, right? A donkey, a jackal, a puma, they are what they are, right? You're never going to get a cat acting like a dog. You're never going to get a dog acting like a cat. You're never going to have a lion acting like a cheetah. You're not going to have a cheetah acting like a puma, even though they're the same species of cat, right? Every animal has its own unique energetic signature, resonance, and way of being, right? A snake is not going to all of a sudden start jumping up and down like a frog, right? A salamander is not going to start acting like a fish, right? These things are fixed. So even in the name Set, right? S-E-T, their animals are set in their ways. And this is why you see a lot of Egyptian gods or deities, the Neteru, you see them with animal heads. And the ignorant falsely accuse the Kemetic ancestors of worshiping animals. No, it represents an aspect of nature or energetic force of nature, right? Which is the daemon. And again, Hollow could tell you, because he watches this me on a regular basis. All you got to do to understand this is watch the first episode, HBO, right? Of damn, I forgot the name. I forgot the name of it. Hold up. Of His Dark Materials. Ashe, thank you, ancestor. His Dark Materials, right? And you will understand what a demon or a daemon is. And it'll show you the animals that they represent as spirit guides, right? Or spirit, So the demon idea, this fear, this scary shit, right? This idea, we're demystifying it right now. And now you know where it comes from. Again, look this up for yourself, all right? Don't believe me. So this is where it comes from. Now, let's continue. So the word devil, as I said, has only been in existence since the 1200s, okay? And if you, well, I think y'all can see this bigger than I can, but on the left, it says Dia, Balin, right? And that is actions. Damn, I can't even read this shit. Or across, I think it's across to throw. It's Diabellin to slumber, right? And this is where you get Diablos, right? Those who are Hispanic, you understand that's the devil, Satan, right? Slanderer, Diabolus, Latin, right? And so forth and so on. Diopho, right? Old English, and then you get devil, right? So it wasn't always, right? This didn't always mean what it was said to mean, so to speak, right? Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let me see something. See if I can blow this up. Y'all looking at some behind the scenes shit right now. All right. And just so I could read it. Okay, so it means a cross or to throw, right? So this has only happened since the 1200s, right? This is when this started coming in. But even if you look at it, if you look at Diabellin, for instance, right here, the second line, it means to slander, to attack, to throw across, right? What do they tell you in the church, right? Adversary, right? Well, we have people in our life that are adversaries. We have adversarial people. Some of these people are our very parents. Some of these people are our correct, AJ. Yep. His dark materials are the cold and compass. Yep. You could tap into either one of those. And so this whole demonic thing, right, is something new, right? We all know the Greeks didn't teach shit. They took everything from the Cometians, right? So if it meant across the throw, then it meant to slander or attack. Where did this whole horned image come, right? The horned image came from this. This is what happens when people steal your shit. This is what happens when people steal your shit and they don't know what the fuck they're doing and they try to interpret it, similar to when somebody listens to a lecture or whatever and then they try to regurgitate it, then the shit comes out fucked up because you didn't really learn it yourself. And not only did you not learn it, but you didn't live it. See, when you live the truth, then the truth becomes one with you. And then it becomes easier for you to deliver the message and actually impact people and help people learn. Okay. So this is where you get the whole horned devil, the whole idea of a devil with a tail and a picture, a tail, and horns, right? And then they added the pitchfork to their, you know what I'm saying, to put you in that Trinity mindset and to lock down your brain, your heart, and your gut, your three brains, right? Which is the pitchfork, putting you in the dirt, keeping you grounded, right? Pitchfork is used to lift dirt. So that's where this imagery comes from. It comes from Set 10, right? Saturn also, but we won't get into this particular thing. I don't want to be here all night. I got work tomorrow. All right. So now you understand the etymology, where it comes from. It comes from the late 1200s. So now you could demystify it. Okay. And it says, even down here, a devil, a subordinate evil spirit afflicting humans, right? The devil, a powerful spirit of evil, otherwise known as Satan, right? But the Bible, and you could look this up yourself, it doesn't say the devil. It actually says devils, right? So all the instances in the Bible, when they translated the Hebrew and the Greek Septuagint, and, you know, they came from the Greek and all that, and these different languages, Aramaic for the Old Testament, or the New Testament, I should say, right? You know, Hebrew and Greek for the Old Testament, it actually says devils in plural, not devil. So there's multiple devils. Yeah. There's the devil of sexual deviance, as we just seen play out this week, right? And we've been seeing play out with all these different teachers. There's the devil of envy and jealousy, right? There's a devil, there's the devil of you know, of abuse, being an abuser, right? Being abusive. There's different devils, right? Right, Israelite, right? Devil, right, is the opposite of lived, right? And all these things, the jealousy, the envy, the hate, the manipulation, the being like a snake, cunning. Even when you think about when you call people evil things, you say this person acts like a snake, right? Where we have Fox News, they're sly like a fox, right? We have you say this person eats like a pig, right? You talk about them in animal terms. Somebody has a heart of a lion, right? This person acts pussy, right? Pussy cat, right? Soft. The cat is soft, right? Pussy, they act pussy, right? We relate people's actual human attributes, human emotions to animals. Okay, whether it be positive or negative. This is something we do on our day-to-day vernacular. So it's not that far-fetched to really think that these things are inside of you. Now, are there again entities out there that are evil and not benevolent? Yes, there are ancestors that passed away that are evil, the Adolf Hitler, so forth and so on, right? Who don't want you to live, right? Who don't want you to grow, who don't want you to shine, right? This is real. This exists, but it has to interact with you. There has to be some sort of interaction, right? You have to let them in, as I said last video, right? You have to align. It has to be a connection. It can't just be if Sexy Red is out there twerking and you're a woman, right? And she's putting tattoos on her face and everything. You have to allow the music to play it over and over to say, you know what? I'm a tattoo big booty girl on my face or whatever. I'm a tattoo Foxy on my face or whatever, you know, and I'm gonna go out and make songs like Pound Town, right? You have to have an agreement, right? It's similar to this. it's like going to the store, right? Or it's like going to the store, right? And you go to the store and you go and you buy, and I said this on Facebook or on Instagram before. You go to the store and you buy an apple, right? Or you pick up the apple, you say, okay, I'm going to purchase the apple, right? You have to go to the register and pay, right? What are you paying with? You're paying with money. Money is a form of currency, okay? So currency is energy. So when you pay for that apple, right, you're giving it to the lady at the register. She might give you back change. She might not. Or you might be swiping your card, which is another form of currency, right, for that apple. But there is an exchange there. You understand? You're not just, even if you're picking an apple off the tree, right, you got to plant that apple tree, or that apple tree has to already be there for you to pick that apple off the tree. It ain't just going to come. The apple ain't just going to come. You want an apple and it's just going to come to you. You understand what I'm saying? It's not just going to come out of thin air. You have to connect with it and you have to accept it as your own. So when people talk about the devil and the devil made me do it and I got hexed and it's evil, be careful, because yes, people do get hexed. Yes, people do go through certain things. But if you are living a life where you are trying to be your best self and living in a righteous manner, and a manner that is for the benefit of not only yourself, but the world, where you are trying to master yourself, master your emotions, overcome your limitations, and be at peace and at one with the yin and yang and the positive and negative of the world, right? And start to develop some of these positive abilities, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, et cetera, right? Then you will realize that these things can't touch you. And this allows you to become more optimistic. And when you do go through hardships and you fall down a little bit, you're able to get back up. Shout out to Donnie McClurkin, because you have a foundation of spiritual work that you've been doing when times were good, right? Or if times are bad and you start to come into spirituality, right? These things allow you to grow and develop and raise your frequency, so to speak, or raise your mood and raise your energy and put you in a state of mind to where you know that shout out to Coach Prime, you believe, right? You actually believe in yourself and you know that all good things are going to happen for you. Just like during the pandemic, I was never scared. There's videos there. You could go back and check my track record. You could check my history. You could see me walking through the streets of Manhattan with no cars on the street. I'm not better than any one of you, right? I'm not better than you. And I have put in the work over the years. Okay? So this is what I'm trying to impart upon you. Let's keep going. Let me add this back. Y'all all right? Y'all all right? Hit that like button if you haven't already. All right. And hit that subscribe button if you're new here and if you like what you hear. All right. Now we're talking about Jesus. Okay. This is what is Jesus and Orisha. So we already established what demonology is and things like that, right? And we've demystified some of that fear, hopefully, right? And you realize that these things are things that you have to interact with. And the goal of spiritual work is for you to be tested. Okay. You're supposed to be tested. This is not the easy way out doing this work. Okay. This is not easy. If you think this is easy, this work is harder. Okay. If you think it's easy, you're a fucking nut, nigga. I said it again. If you think it's easy, tell him, Umar. You're a fucking nut, nigga. This ain't the easy path. This is the entrepreneurial path. This is the hard path. This is the tough path. This is the path you got to put in work. This is the path where you got to put your ego to the side for what you want earthly, or for these earthly benefits, and really dedicate them to spirit and dedicate them to justice. Meaning you're not going to, exactly, Foxy Moon. I applaud, yo, shout out to that comment, yo. Exactly. And this ties in to the whole crossroads things where I talked about on the last video. And we're going to tap into it a little bit as we go in, but go into the crossroads. When you are tested, And the reason you are tested is because you're tested to make sure that you are approved. You're tested, you go through hardships to make sure and to learn so that you could grow. You can't get spiritual power without going through some sort of struggle. With no, what did Frederick Douglass say? Without struggle, there is no progress. Right? Shout out to the ancestor. Without struggle, there is no progress. You can't get muscles without lifting weight. You won't be healthy if you sit on your ass all day and eat hot Cheetos and drink sodas. Right? You won't get the girl or the man of your dreams if all you do is sit in the house and you don't go out and you don't communicate with anybody, or if you got a stank attitude. Right? You have to learn how to deal with people, right? And those are tests. Sometimes you have to go and be a public speaker, right? A lot of people are scared to be a public speaker, right? But you bust through, right? Especially if it's for your job and you got to do a presentation that comes to money, right? You're gonna do that shit. You're gonna, if somebody says, "Yo, I'm gonna give you $1 million at 3 a.m.," but you got to deliver a speech, best believe your ass is gonna learn how to do that speech. I give you 5 days to prepare. You're gonna be preparing night and day. You might even quit your job, which you should. I'm gonna quit my job. Somebody said $3 million to deliver a speech, nigga. I'm quitting that shit. All right. I'm gonna dedicate all my time. Shit. If I sleep 4 or 5 hours, then the rest is gonna be dedicated to me learning. All right. So so you get tested by the divine, right? And yes, the divine uses evil spirits. Yes, the divine uses tricks. Yes, the divine uses Abrahamic religions. Yes, the divine will use a polite, sexy red, whoever, right? A Doja Cat, right? Or whoever to test you to see if you're really ready to rise. If you are going to say, yeah, I see that. Okay, I see that that's the evil, but I'm going to rise above it and I'm going to do my work and chuck it, even ignore it, right? This is the real work, right? It's not about knowing how fucking the resonance of each fucking chakra and this the root chakra is 12 hertz and 40. Yeah, that shit is cool. You impress your friends, but is it making you a better person? Is it making you a more powerful being? Is it making you more peaceful being? Can you look at these news stories that are going around in the world and be at peace, right? And tap into your ashe, your spirit, right? And harness that optimistic power and know that you have the magic to manifest. And goddamn it, if the world's going to crumble and it's your time to go, you're going to be in the field of reeds with the ancestors. You're going to be in the waters, you know what I'm saying, of what do they say? The waters of Amen, the waters of Amenta, right? You're going to be in quote unquote the heavens, not the heavens you've been taught in Christianity, right? But where they got the concept from was the Cometians, the field of reeds, the waters of Amenta, and so forth. You're going to be going through Orion's belt and hitting Sirius, right? You understand that that is your calling because you are living your calling. Whether you go have an up day, whether you have a down day, your heart is sincerely composed of wanting to be a person of good character, a person that somebody could depend on, somebody could rely on, somebody could laugh with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? That you're building yourself, that you're growing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so this is the energy. So God, yes, that's correct. God tests you, not the devil, but the devil does exist, right? And even if you listen to the Christian narrative, right? God created the devil, didn't he? If you look at the Christian narrative, God created the devil and had to banish him because he was fucking with his powers, right? He was like, yo, you taking my niggas. This all powerful, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient being had his creation basically run him and take his people. If you believe that story. So why would a benevolent, goody two shoes, never did anything wrong, right? You know what I'm saying? Never told a lie, create a devil. Why? This is why you got to understand that there's polarity, been polarity, always will be polarity, always has been polarity. There's never been a time. A lot of people are mystified and think in Africa one time that everything was pure and great and everybody was, you know what I'm saying, happy and kumbaya. There's always the ops. The Cometians had Medjay warriors for a reason, right? When they went to war, they were tapped in with Set, okay? They were tapped in with this energy that you call evil. This is who they were giving offerings to harness that animal energy for war, because there's a time and place for everything. So I'm not telling people to do evil. What I am telling people is everything must exist and everything has a use. And if you don't understand and you think life is goody goody, you'll be crushed out here in real life. You'll be misled, misguided. You'll be scammed. You'll be preyed upon. Okay? Let us continue. So, Jesus is the story of Horus, okay? Remember, we're talking about this Jesus or Orisha. I'm trying to make the case. So, Jesus' story was written down 2,000 years ago. Go to the right. Horus stories 5,000 years ago. All right? Born in the Virgin Mary, born in the Virgin Isis of Set. Birthday is celebrated on December 25th. I'm going left to right, y'all. Birthday is on December 25th. North Star led wise men to him when he was born. Eastern Star led 3 wise men to him when he was born. We're talking about Horus or Heru. Taken to Egypt to escape the wrath of Herod. Taken to Egypt to escape the wrath of Typhoon. Now, we've already shown that Typhoon, right, typhonic beast or typhonic animal, corresponds to Set, okay? So Horus is also talking about that particular energy. When we're talking, see, this is what happens when they steal the story of Heru, or the resurrection of the putting the 14 pieces of Heru back together, right? And they repackage it in the white boy named Jesus, okay? And these are all the correspondences. Taught in the temple as a child, baptized by John the Baptist, baptized by Anu, the baptizer at 30, right? Had 12 disciples, so forth and so on, right? This is where they got the story. You could screenshot this and read the rest for yourself. Let's continue. So this is where they got this whole story from, okay? So if Horus, Heru is a Netzeru, which is also an Orisha. Remember, Orisha means select head. So when you see Horus, you see a goddamn falcon on his head, so on a human body. This means that this corresponds to something. And what this corresponds to is what we might call Christ consciousness. What is Christ consciousness? Christ consciousness is using the free will as they have in the metaphor or the story or the mythology of Christ. Okay, let me make sure y'all can hear me or y'all can see me. Of Christ being on the on the hill, right, and being tempted by the devil or by Satan, right, and him deciding to follow his father's wishes. Of Christ being tempted by the Pharisees and seeing all the money and deciding to flip the money tables, so to speak, right? These are mythologies. This is not real life. These things didn't really happen. These are symbolism, right? Just like motherfucking, I could decode Avengers, right? And talk about how, you know, Loki, which is a representation of Set or Satan, right? Or Typhoon. I could decode that and still show how the Avengers, right, went into, and how Loki was the primary adversary in that movie, and how that even led to the other movies with him still being the Thor movies where he's a primary adversary and things like that. That Set character, right? I could decode it and make it applicable to real life, the same way a preacher could take the story of Jesus on the mountain, right, or Jesus flipping the money tables, and create a story that's applicable to now. The Avengers are not fucking real, right? Just like the stories of Jesus are not real. This is a mythology that has been sold to you, just like the mythology of the devil and the demon has been given to you by King James. The Council of Knights separating the books, etc., right? And even the Bible, the original Bible that wasn't 66 books, goes back to the Coptic teachings in Africa. Okay? Again, don't take my word for it. Look up the Coptic Bible. Look up the Coptic language. Okay? Look up the churches that were in Ethiopia and the old Bibles that they still have that are not 66 books, that have the book of James in it, and these different books that are not in the Bible, so to speak, right? So these stories are hijacked and remixed. There's a good book by George M. James called Stolen Legacy, okay, where you could tap in and see what that is. Let's continue. So Krishna, this is also another form of Jesus. Okay, I'm showing you more just how he's tapped into that Orisha energy, select head, and what this head is. It's about again free will, rising above. Let's look at the mythology. Okay, so Krishna, the hold up. Okay, y'all can see it. Let me remove this. Shout out to Great Goodness Goddess. All right. So Krishna, let me do this, y'all. So Krishna is the dark one, okay, aka Christ prototype in this Kush, aka India. All right, India was once a black land, and they had a people that were melanated. All right, and these people were called Dravidians, Dravidians. Okay, and they were a melanated clan of people who understood the spiritual knowledge and the spiritual sciences. Because if you look at India and you look at Africa, you'll see that they're very close, right? So there were a lot of melanated beings, just like a lot of y'all will say, okay, we've been here in America, right? My ancestry is here in America. There, there's ancestry of melanated beings in India, and there's tons of melanated beings in India as well, right? That exists to this day in the quote unquote East or the Middle East, right? So Krishna, one of the most popular Hindu gods, is revered as a supreme deity god and the eighth embodiment of the god Vishnu, pronounced Vishnu. In Hindu mythology, Krishna came to be when Vishnu plucked two of his hairs, right? One black and one light. Okay. So if you look at that, you can see yin yang, one black, one light, one black, one white. Okay, that's yin yang polarity right there. Krishna means the black became the black hair. In fact, his name means dark one. Okay. So you talk about the triple stages of darkness, right? You're talking about the cosmos. You're talking about us being stardust and coming from stars, being star seeds, right? This is where this comes from. You're talking about melanin, in particular, eumelanin, which is the melanin that is eumelanin is not just the melanin or the pigment melanin, right, or the neuromelanin that's in the brain, but this is actually what the eumelanin is actually what corresponds to the quick twitch function, right, which is what makes basketball players do what they do and do these crazy highlights like Jordan and football players, and this is the melanin. These people, where a young boy could see Henrietta Lacks scientific experiment just by at a school trip, to where now his family just the Henrietta Lacks family for the HeLa cells just got a settlement, right? This is that dark energy, you tapping into everything in the cosmos, which is what you being born melanated, and this is whether you're black or brown, whether you're of darker hue, you have an advantage, a spiritual advantage, right? It's a privilege to be born in these bodies. But as you see, we are the ones going through the most struggles right now, right? And obviously, we want to get out of these struggles and resurrect. And our time is now, right? We're in the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing. So our time is now, and our time is coming. We may not see the flip because it's always going to flip, right? Just like Kemet at one time was the standard, and people were trying to live righteous. Now it's not like that. The standard is ratchetry, wickedness, right? People don't give a fuck. They don't have any morals base or a good character base. They just trying to get money. Fuck who it fucks over. I'm gonna capitalize on who I gotta capitalize. I'm gonna hurt who I gotta hurt as long as I'm okay, right? Selfishness. If I gotta be a snake, I'll be a snake, right? Pigheadedness, greed, lust, right? Uncontrollable lust, things like that, right? As we've been seeing with these sexual deviants out here. So and his artistic work show him with dark skin, and you don't when you talk to even like a lot of these yoga priests and priestesses that are of another hue, they will show Krishna not having dark skin. They will show Krishna as the white boy. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is not about race, but this is about, well, this video is about race. Let me stop saying it is kind of about race, but it's more about culture, right? And it's more about how culture, the word culture or cultivation, right? That's where it comes from. It comes from cultivation. So when you cultivate something, you're helping it grow, right? And the cultivation is to be able to develop again and cultivate it to, like if you're cultivating weed, right? You're growing that weed under certain light. You keep it in the room under certain temperature so that it could grow. And this is from my past life shit, right? But it could grow and bloom and blossom so you could get the right buds, right? So you cultivate the weed a certain way. Has to be have to have the lights on a certain time. Has to have a certain pH balance, right? The water has to drop for a certain time, right? Yes, Foxy. Foxy's on it tonight. All right. I got to bring you on the channel too, Foxy. I'll tap in with you later. But yeah, or blue skin, right? Avatar, right? And blue skin is another way of hiding the melanated beings or the black and brown people of the world, right? And this is not just people that are, darker skin. I'm talking about people that are from South America, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, all them that have ties to the Aztecs and the Olmecs and things like that. A lot of times because they are darker hues. But if you could get a tan, right, and you're good with that tan, and you have a high level of melanin protecting you, then you're a melanated being. It's in you, right? It's in you to tap into that energy as well. So let's continue. Hopefully y'all all right. Put a one in the chat if everything I'm saying is making sense. I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to lose anybody at all, right? But this spell is sinister, right? This spell is sinister to make you think that if you look at the picture on the right, to think that this is the savior, okay? This is the savior. This unmelanated, pale Caesar Borgia or Borgia, right? This picture that this is the guy that's going to save you. And this has been going on for years and years and years. If you look at, a lot of melanated people's, even to this day, right? To this day, right? That they even now think that this is still the savior. There's people, grandma, grandpas, still have this picture of the white boy on the wall. And this is part of the spell, not the whole spell, but part of the spell that has been put on melanated beings to believe that this is, and this religion is the only religion, that these are the only truths, right? But it applies also in other ways. So you see Isis all set with the god Horus or Heru, right? You see Mary, son of Jesus, Christian mythology, right? You see the Ankh, right, representing the cross of Jesus Horus, correct? It's just another chapter in the greatest story ever. And you see the glow on top of Heru's head, which represents Ra, which is the name I came with, the noonday sun, right? Or the sun where it's at its peak, which is at midday, noontime, wherever you live. And you see this same aura glow, right, on top of Jesus's head, right? And Heru corresponds to the heart, and you see that this picture of Jesus, right, Caucasian Jesus, he has his fingers on the heart with a barbed wire protecting it, right? Because the heart, if the heart stops, life is over. But you also see that there's a cross here, right? Instead of an ankh. The ankh means life. The top part is the womb. The bottom part is the phallus. And those both together come together, right? You bring life into the world, okay? And Jesus, as I have on the top left here, the sun, right? Or the sun, right? Jesus is Leo. The sun is a line of Judah, right? And this is representing the heroes or the Heru's journey. And the journey is the crossroads, right? Jesus has a cross here, right? We'll get into that a little further. But there's is the crossroads, right? Are you going to be able to handle the crossroads, right? Are you going to be able to go through the ups and downs, right? So the symbolism of the cross is still right here, right? But it is a taking of a particular deity, and it is part of casting a spell. So we can understand that Jesus is Orisha, Jesus is also a Netaru, right? But Jesus has been misrepresented and misused. And even does Jesus even exist as this person that they're saying, right? I don't think so. Okay. This is all motherfucking propaganda. And I've showed you the history and the sources from where it comes from. Okay. And again, always you can fact check me. Hopefully you got your pens and pads. Let's continue. So what I said about the crossroads, okay? So this is leg bulb. I talked about this on my sexy red video on Brother Polite, the crossroads. Okay, don't get double crossed at the crossroads. Okay, let's read this real quick. Legbus veve. Okay, veve is something that they would put on the ground, right? You could create veves yourself. You could print them out online. You could use them as a way to. But if you look at as a way to tap into the crossroad energy, especially if you're trying to do something new, right? If you're going through something, and the crossroads are really when you're trying to do something new, right? Let's say you lost your job, you're looking for a new job, you lost your car, right? You've been evicted, things like that, right? You dealt with a fire, things like that. You could tap into this frequency of the crossroads to open a new road or a new path, right? But dealing with a leg bar is you're going to be tested, okay? That just comes with it. A leg bar's a trickster, okay? He's a trickster. And we have been tricked because if you see on the right, there's this white boy carrying the same thing, right? You can see the cross in this particular image right here in the iconography. Remember what Panic said, there's trauma, right? Repetition and symbols. Okay, so there's symbolism, which is why, again, Jesus has the cross right here at his chest, and Jesus has the cross. So Legba's Veve depicts a crossroads, reflecting Legba's role as the guardian and keeper of the crossroads. Okay, so Legba, Papa Legba, E Legba, right? Whatever you want to call it, dealing with the red and black colors, right? And you can see the crossroads if you look behind here, that these crossroads are again, we go through these in all times, but the main, let me see what I got next. Hold on. All right, we ain't there yet. So the main thing about the crossroads is this: part of the spell of Christianity is them using the cross, right? Now, in Roman times, they didn't hang people on crosses, not like that. That was later on. This was past Jesus' time. They actually put them on stakes, and their hands were like this when they were on a stake. All right. So that's really what it was. Their hands were on a stake. And the crossroads is the way in the Yoruba tradition, in the Voodoo tradition, in Ifa, it is the way that you connect with the gods. Okay. It's the way that you connect with Yemayas, the way that you connect with Ogun. It's the way that you connect with Orumila. It's the way that you connect with Oya. It's the way that you connect with, all these different deities, Oshun, etc. You have to go through Legba first. What do the Christians tell you? There's no way to God without Christ. You got to go to Christ first to get to God. So they're giving you a crossroad, saying if you don't go through this crossroad of tapping in with Christ, with Jesus, I should say, with this paleo dude on the right, where they flip the whole thing to make you think it's about the death of dying to your sins, the mythology of the death of him dying to his sins, right? And then him coming back resurrected. But if you tap into the crossroads of a Legba, the same motherfucking thing happens. The same thing happens. I hit the wrong thing. But it's the same thing. You tapping into the crossroads, you tapping into the cross. So this is part of the spell that they have put on melanated beings over time to think that they've hijacked a legba, they hijacked legbas, and they hijacked ancient African traditional religion and used this as a way to intercede in your divinity so that you believe in a white man on a cross, or even if you paint him black, right, and put him on a cross, that this is your savior, instead of you being your savior and you going through the crossroads yourself, right? Because they say Jesus died for your sins at the cross. So when you are going through tough times and you're going through hardships and you want to start something new, You're essentially being born again. You're taking a new path. You see the pathway right here? I ain't making this up. You can see it. You see the crossroads. Let's continue. Hope does that type of one in the chat. I want you to get this and understand how the cross corresponds to a legba and how the resurrection is the resurrection of you on a new path with new spirit, new ideas, and how that cross is a challenge. Jesus being challenged by Pontius Pilate and his officers and him being berated is the same thing you go through when you say, I'm not being Christian anymore. It's the same thing you go through to when you start wearing crystals, when you start wearing head wraps, when you start wearing dashikis, when you start listening to Rob Black Storm, when you start listening to different music, when you start hanging around different people. You're at a crossroads because you was doing all this old shit before. The same thing with being born again, with Jesus dying. You're at the crossroads. So you're resurrecting yourself on a new path. Please type one in the chat. I want you to get that and make sure you understand that. All right. I see the ones coming through. Thank you. All right. Shout out to Sly in the building. All right. Hit that like button if you are here. I appreciate it. All right. And hit that subscribe button if you like what you're hearing. Let's continue. And if you don't get it, ask somebody in the chat. They'll break it down for you. I got a pretty intelligent chat here. So let's look at more Jesus archetypes real quick. So Jesus is who in Santeria and Ifa / Voodoo. Different places you live, there's different representations of the same energy. Remember, these are nature spirits, so they're attached to natural energy, right? Let's read. Santa Barbara is the patron saint deity of armorers, artillerymen, architects, mathematicians, and miners. Okay. So remember, during slavery, they had to hide the worship of certain deities with saints, especially in Santeria. You know what I'm saying? So you use a lot of like Virgin Mary corresponds to Set or Isis. Shangu corresponds to Saint Barbara, right? You could also use Jesus in that aspect as well, but we'll get into that, so forth and so on. So, and even if you look at Santa Barbara, right, Santa Barbara got a lot of like Ogun characteristics, right? Armorers dealing with steel, artillerymen, right? Architects, mathematicians, miners. And when I thought about that, I thought deep behind the surface of what they were saying, and I realized that in order to build something, you need a spark, right? When you're an architect and you're building a building, right? You use a drill, right? Or you're welding, you use fire, right? You use a spark. You know what I'm saying? That when you're a mathematician, you're putting things together or putting numbers and things together, right? To spark something new. Or 1 + 1 = 2, right? That's new energy. Minor is the same thing, right? You're digging, you're sparking, right? Just showing you how you could look beyond and kind of see how it works, right? Shango to the right. Now, you can look this up again yourself. That Santa Barbara and Shango in South America, they're worshipped on the same day. Okay. Shango is the owner of fire, lightning, thunder, and protection. Okay. He is also the patron of music, drumming, and dancing. Okay. They don't tell you this about Jesus. When they talk about Jesus, you notice that his life from 13 to 33 is gone. This figure is supposed to be so impactful, so powerful, right? But you don't know what he did as a teenager. Isn't that when you make the most mistakes, right? Now, if you look at the story of Krishna, Krishna was a wild boy, right? If you ever get a chance, read stories of Krishna. Krishna was having threesomes. Krishna was wilding out. Krishna rebelled, right? You see his whole life story, and you see the parallels to Jesus, right? But when you talk about, there's no music, there's no drumming, there's no dancing. In fact, when you look at European religions, most of them are dry as hell if you go to their churches and see how they worship. And those that are kind of popping, they're copying Melanated Beings churches, okay? So in Santeria, Shango is male and represents male beauty, virility, passion, and power. His colors are red and white. So it's in Heru, right? Red and white. Don't you see red and white right here, right? Don't you see Jesus in red and white right here? Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. Okay. It's a confirmation. When you see things like matching like that, they're confirmation, and this gives you an idea. Even if you see these things in film and music video, you are able to recognize them by seeing the symbolism. Okay, colors are red and white, and there's a leke set necklace made of alternative red and white beads. Devotees are usually required to dress in white, and women in white eyelet fashion. Okay, so the crossroads are basically, well, we off the crossroads. So let's go to this. Jesus is translated as the word or logos in the Greek Septuagint. Okay, so if you look at Jesus, right, you see Jesus depicted as a fish. He's basically the god, so to speak, of the age of Pisces. Now we're exiting the age of Pisces and we're in the age of Aquarius now. So being that we're exiting the age of Pisces and we're in the age of Aquarius, right? Jesus was for people who needed someone to follow. Remember, we're in the age of Aquarius. Aquarius deals with information. Information is light. Aquarius is an air sign. Air deals with thoughts, ideas. When we talk about consciousness, right? When we talk about consciousness, consciousness is not something that's housed in our brain. Okay? Shout out to the slide. Thank you for the donation. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate the $2. Put it on the wood. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And so when we talk about consciousness, you stream consciousness like you stream Amazon Prime, like you're streaming my video right now, right? Consciousness is everywhere, right? You ever have a thought about something or an idea and you didn't move on it, and then you see somebody else moved on it or somebody else created it, and you was like, damn, I had that idea. I didn't know it was going to blow up, right? Because you stream consciousness. Consciousness is not just, a thing that's housed in your brain, right? Your brain is just a tool. It's just the steering wheel, right? How you choose to use it is your business. You could drive it into, and crash out, as they say, or you could drive responsibly, right? And drive to destinations. It's how you use it, okay? So, exactly, Israelite, right? I appreciate y'all tapping in. Air cannot be contained, exactly. Just like thoughts cannot be contained, ideas cannot be contained. So when you get a download sometimes, right, which is an idea that comes to you without you doing concrete thinking, right, or using logic and reasoning, it just comes to you and it makes sense, right? This is the where we are. So we stream consciousness just like Netflix, right? That's where it comes from. So these ideas are considered in the age of Pisces, right? Pisces deals with intuition, and also thoughts as well, right? It's coming the same way, but we didn't have, access in the 1700s. Melanated people couldn't even read, so we didn't have access to libraries. Library of Alexandria was tore down, right? Go watch this movie called Agora, okay? Agora. And Agora will tell you all about how Christianity started and where it came from. Now, I'm not doing this to bash Christians. I'm doing this to expose the spell that Black and brown people are under due to Christianity, and how these deities correspond, and how they, like I said, use this to trick us, the cross to trick us, so that we don't tap into the crossroads and we don't tap into our ancestral religion. So, as they said, air cannot be contained. Yeah. So we didn't have books. We didn't have libraries. We didn't have smartphones. You know what I'm saying? So we needed a Jesus. People needed a Jesus. People needed something to follow so that they could have some sort of moral structure. People needed that at the time when it happened. Just like people needed, James Brown to sing Black and Proud in the 50s and the 40s and the 60s and the 70s. And, you needed these people to come, Billie Holiday, to sing Strange Fruit. You needed a Malcolm X to come through, or Martin Luther King, right? And so forth, a Truck Turner, and so forth and so on, right? You needed these figures to come, H. Rap Brown, the Black Panthers, right? You needed these people because people weren't going to the library, right? That people had to work 9 to 5 and things like that, right? So there was a time and place where we didn't have that. But now we got computers, we got smartphones, we got tech at our hands, right? At our fingertips. We got smart watches, some of y'all, right? Tech at our fingertips. So so the whole following someone, right, is really comes from the pages. Well, let me not get there because I'll be here all night. So let's continue. Hopefully that makes sense to y'all. So this is where the whole Jesus being a fish comes from, because someone has to give you fish, right? What they say, teach a man a fish, or if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, right? Which is what the church does. They give you fish. They tell you what to do. This is how you do it. This is what you can't do. This is what you can't do. This is what is godly. This is what's not godly. And if you don't do it, the devil's going to get you, and you're going to go to hell, and the demons are going to fuck up your life, right? So it's all fear-based, scare tactics, nervousness, and why some of you have even a lot of anxiety because of the news, which is on that same model of scaring you. And you watch the news every day and you think you're being aware. You listen to these teachers who are online telling you the next bad thing that's the government's going to do, the next bad thing that happens, that there's 4 suns, 3 moons, that the aliens are going to descend next month, that a flood is going to come and wash out New York and wash me out next month. You know what I'm saying? And I know people are telling me that and sending me that out of concern, and I appreciate it. Trust me, I want to be aware. I want to know. I want to be prepared, right? But at the same time, ain't no fear in the God. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no fear in the God. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and I'm gonna be cool with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'll survive. I'll report back to y'all. I'll go live. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't worried. You know what I'm saying? Not the God. You know what I'm saying? I've been through too much to be worried about some goddamn water washing me away. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But I'm gonna do my best to survive. I ain't gonna lay down, and I ain't gonna be scared. Because what is fear? Fear lowers your IQ. Fear can lower your IQ by up to 80 points. When cortisol enters the body, which is what fear does, it enters the body and it lowers your body because your brain waves now cease and all the energy goes to the body to prepare you to fight or flight. So when you're constantly in states of fear and you mistake that for awareness and you just want to hear what you want to hear because you want to feel comfortable, and a lot of it has to do with you trying to control life, but life is out of your control. You can't control life. Tomorrow, September 11th, who knows what the fuck's going to happen, right? Who knows what the fuck is going to happen? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You got plans, you doing the work, but you don't know what's going to happen. So stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Do the work, right? So you don't have to stay ready. You don't need a Jesus. You need the Christ within. Let us continue. So we're talking, so Jesus was called the Logos, right, in the Greek. And you see these different logos. You see the cross right here on the right. You see the fish, right? So Jesus was called the Word and the Logos. So let's break that down. What is the Logos and what does it do? The name of the animals we'll get to shortly. Let's read this quickly. In the New Testament, the Gospel of John begins. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God, and all the things were made through him. This is through the Word now. And without him, the Word, was not anything made. This verse doesn't say Jesus. It says the Word, okay? And consider the Word as him, okay? Was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light. Light is information of men, okay? So here it is clear they're saying that the Word or Logos is a reference to Jesus Christ, right? Or Christ consciousness. The light of men is information, which is light itself. Logos, now how are they? Now this is the double talk. This is the slyness. This is the forked tongue of a snake, right? And this is something I copied and pasted, but I just want to show you. So logos is the Greek term translated as word, speech, principle, or thought. How the fuck did they get Jesus out of that? How did they get Jesus Christ out of that? How did they all of a sudden take something that means speech, principle, or thought, the word, right? Which is saying that the word or what you say to yourself or how you think about yourself or your mindset is God. How did they connect that to Jesus Christ, right? This is the fuck shit. This is the spells that they run on you continuously. This is how people believe that something outside of them is going to save them other than themselves, because they constantly want to put a personification of something for you to look at instead of looking at yourself. And they have to tell you that there's an intermediary, Jesus, in order to connect with God, so that you have another intermediary, which is the preacher, the priest, the prophet, the teacher, et cetera, right? Not saying you can't learn from anyone, or you can't be a student. But you can't look at these people as higher than yourself or more powerful than yourself. You're just taking the food, just like you go into the restaurant, right? You go to a restaurant, you sit down, you eat the food. You don't worship the restaurant. You don't worship the place. You don't deify the place that you went to and light candles around the restaurant. You know what I'm saying? And give offerings and bread and wine to the restaurant. It's a place where you go to learn. And once you learn, you get the fuck out and you live your life, right? And practice. So the divine or hidden reason is what a logo is. It is an image, okay? An image containing a vital aspect of natural phenomenon or idea. So a picture logo is worth 1,000 words, okay? Now I'm showing you these three things. I don't have to tell you what they are, okay? You already know. There's no words here. There's no words here, okay? These pictures are worth 1,000 words. You see those golden arches, you already know that's Mickey D's. You already know they got the Big Mac, the quarter pounder, sesame seed bun. You know? You see that swoosh, you already know that's Nike. You already know there's Jordan brand associated with that. You already know there's Air Maxes and gear that's dealing with sports and working out, right? You look on the right, you already know that's a designer, aka luxury brand, right? Quote unquote luxury brand, right? Which, by the way, a lot of these designers and luxury brands take their designs and the textures and the prints from um, ancient Africa or even current Africa, right? They take a lot of things and move in that way. But if you look, these things show you that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So what happens when you got a logos that is this, right? Across. So you got a logos that is this, right? This is part of the spell, okay? This is part of the spell to take you away from who you truly are and what you truly are, okay? So these pictures speak for you. This is why, again, Brother Panic said, repetition, symbolism, which these are symbols, right? This is symbolism, and trauma, right? Is how people change. But I will add to that, and I will say meditation as well, right? Trauma, repetition, symbols, and meditation is how you change or how you change people's behavior without sometimes them even knowing it, besides meditation, right? But you can be placed in meditative states depending on, if you look at television, there's certain frame rates on different shows. So depending on the frame rate they look, like you ever see a kid watch a TV show and that kid is watching TV and they can't get off the TV. Like you say, hey, Shelly, or hey, Kareem, or hey, Tyrone. Tyrone's still looking at the TV watching SpongeBob or watching Paw Patrol or whatever. Tyrone, hello. And he's locked in. It's because of the frame rate that they're using on Paw Patrol. It's because the frame rate that they're using on SpongeBob is designed to put you in a meditative trance. You don't know. You don't know when you walk in certain stores that they're pumping different scents in order to make you more susceptible to buying things. You don't know when you walk into Walmart or Kmart that they're actually pumping subliminal messages under the music that you don't hear, but it's like a dog whistle. So it's tapping into your subliminal messages. You don't realize that when they have campaigns and presidential campaigns, congressional campaigns, that behind some of those imagery and images, that they're words that your physical eye doesn't register, but your mind eye does with the symbolism, but it's hidden behind the scenes. This is the way they work, symbolism and the repetition of images, the logos, right? Because in the beginning was the word is the logos, and the logos is God. You could put divine principles. This is why the Cometians use hieroglyphs and pictographs, right? If you look in the hood, in these ghettos, you don't see these pictures of gods and deities, but I guarantee if these things started going up as murals, you will see a great change in these neighborhoods because your subconscious mind would unlock the DNA, your ancient ancestral DNA, and cause a resonance. Even as a child, I remember looking at pyramids and shit and being like, damn, you know what I'm saying? It just struck something in my heart. You know what I'm saying? It tapped my spirit. And I was like second grade. There was like a picture of a pyramid and they had like the little, fake cartoon like Sphinx. And I can still remember it to this day, like the feeling that it had. It was an ancestral memory that was part of me already. You know what I'm saying? Some of your kids have ancestral memories. They act like your grandfather, your great grandfather acted like this, or your brother act like this that passed away, or the father or the mother, et cetera, et cetera. You understand? So this is how they get you, and this is how. But this you can reverse engineer this by tapping into your own deities, which we'll get into. All right. So let's continue going. So there is a Trinity. This is another way that they get you. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Okay, this is another spell that's casted. Okay, so you think that you got to go through a Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, to get to God. God the Father, Jesus the Son, right? Holy Spirit. So we have to realize when ancient philosophers and ancient mystics painted these pictures, they're not painting these pictures just so they look good, right? They're good looking pictures. They're painting these pictures to represent something esoteric. There's a hidden message in this picture. I was going to do a whole video just on this picture alone because there's a lot to mine, but I'm going to shorten it real quick. So this is Jesus's father, Joseph, in the image, right? Everybody should know this Bible story. This is how we were all conditioned growing up, right? Mary, okay, and Jesus, baby Jesus, right? But this is not really Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Mary, and Jesus, okay? This is, not only is it Heru or Ser, the old god or the god of the underworld, or Set, right? And Heru, but this is also the trinity of the gut, the heart, and the brain, okay? And this picture is called Flight to Egypt because Jesus had to leave, or Mary and Joseph had to leave where they lived and fly to Jesus. And when you read this, you're like, how do people not put two and two together? But a lot of people don't do research, so that's why I'm here. But their gut as a brain, your heart is a brain, and the brain itself, right? The brain with the prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe, etc., the pineal gland, right? Left and right hemisphere, the brain itself. So each brain has a different function, right? So let's start with Orset or Mary. So the function of Orset or Mary is going to let's start with the donkey. So the donkey is actually the physical body, right? It's the avatar body. It's the shell that we are in. The what you call it? The Mary, right, is a representation of the gut instinct, gut feelings. I could feel it in my gut. It's a representation. If you think of the gut, right, that's where your intestines are, right? When you pee and poop, right, it's watery, right? Unless you're not drinking enough water, you got that hard poop, right? Or you got some sort of illness, but it's watery, right? There's liquid moving through the body that allows your excrement and your urine to come out, right? It's dealing with flow states, right? Gut feelings, gut emotions, right? This is the science of Mary, Yemaya, right? Or Set, water goddesses, water deities, okay? Now you have baby Heru or Horus or baby Jesus. This corresponds to the physical heart, okay? Where you say this person has heart, this person has courage, this person is willing to um, go above and beyond, so to speak, right? This person is a loving person. They are heartfelt speakers, right? Or they're or they acting from a space of heartfelt people, or they're loving, right? They connect with people. Okay. That is one of the brains, right? The heart is in dealing with the will, right? The uh, um, we say that in the hood. This motherfucker ain't got no heart. You know what I'm saying? Well, when we talk about basketball players like Allen Iverson, Like Iverson got a lot of heart, right? So that's corresponding to that Christ-like energy, the reason, the way to the will being devoid of. So you might have a gut feeling about something, right? But you ignore it, right? That is your heart not following your gut, right? You might, let's talk about something that people are scared with. I talked about earlier, doing public speaking. Okay, your heart might be like, yo, this is your heart is nervous. You're nervous, right? You feeling that your stomach is bubbling, right? Your gut, or let's say you're gonna meet somebody new, right? You was talking to somebody online, they look good, you send them a DM, boom, you guys talking back and forth, and you finally meet them in person. You're gonna have a little bit of nervousness, Mike. You might have a little bit of nervousness, right, in your gut, but your heart is going to say, all right, I got to do this public talk, this public speech. I got to do this TED talk or this presentation at work or this presentation for my business, right? Even though I'm nervous, right? Where your heart is overriding your gut. Okay. So again, yin and yang, there's polarity to everything. So the heart is dealing with the will or willpower. And it doesn't matter what your emotions, it doesn't matter about the flow states, it doesn't matter about the gut feelings. Your will is overriding that. Now you have Joseph. Joseph is pulling the donkey, right? This is again symbolism. Joseph pulling the donkey is corresponding to your brain, you making the final decision. Okay, to say, okay, I'm going to follow either this gut feeling, I'm going to follow my heart, make sure they're aligned, or I'm going to, what I'm saying, just ignore everything and be apathetic, right? You have the ability to do that, right? You have a brain where you could free willy, right? You could make whatever decision you want to make in this world. And you see he's pulling the Jesus and Mary. The brain, without the mind, right? Well, not the mind, because the brain is not the mind, but the brain controls what you're going to do. The brain is where the thoughts come from. The brain is the processing system where you're making the final decision, right? It's where the pineal gland is. It's where the prefrontal cortex is, where you make your decisions, right? The frontal lobe, your decision making, your reasoning, your critical thinking, right? And most people, as we see in the world, they're not using that shit. They're not tapping to their inner Joseph. You understand? So they need to study this type of shit so they can get a handle. But luckily, you guys are. So this type of energy is a representation or representation. And again, like you see, he's pulling it because, again, the brain controls the body. Mind moves matter, right? Mind moves matter. Your mindset, the word set again, right? Moves matter. It makes things happen. It puts things into existence, right? You could not feel like you want to go work out, but you tell yourself, right, I'm going to work out regardless of how I feel. You could not feel like meditating, but you are trying to manifest something. So you start to meditate, right? So forth and so on. Diet, whatever it is, right? The mind is the ultimate controller, right? The mind is all, and all is mind. That's the first law in the Kabbalion, or the laws of Tahuti, right? Or what they say, the Greeks say thought. So again, this is symbolism, right? Repetition. When you see these images, you can understand what they are. Now you're demystifying the Trinity from some abstract spell that they put on you that you can't prove, to now relating it to your actual existence. And now you could use these things now to understand yourself more and get in tune to know thyself, which is ultimately the goal of spirituality. Man, know thyself. So you could conquer thyself and master thyself, which is what the neophyte was told after he was told to change his name. He was then giving, just like in the Matrix, when Neo went to visit the Oracle on top of her door, right? When he came in, there's a sign. I forgot, it's Noctis or something like that. But basically, it's in Greek or Latin, meaning man. Actually, Latin meaning man, know thyself. Okay, because that is the goal ultimately, to know who you truly are, know the powers that you have, understand this physical vehicle so that you could master yourself. Drop a 1 in the comment if you guys understood that, if they made sense. I hope I broke that down correctly. I'm doing my best, y'all, to explain these esoteric comments, but drop a 1 in the chat real quick and we'll keep going. Need some more water. Bear with me. Uh, all right, I see the ones. I see the ones in the chat. Y'all rocking with me. All right. So more of the spell. So this is a trinity right here. Okay. This is the trinity right here as well. You can see the three pyramids of Giza. This is in Kemet, Egypt. Okay. And you can see how it corresponds to Orion's belt. Okay. Same shit. Interestingly enough, right? Why is that the same shit? Right? That's right here, right? Or the same ideation of this. Okay. So obviously there's a correspondence. This is one again, part of the spell that they put on us is to make you think, right, that you can't exist or you're gonna go to hell if you understand this, if you think outside the box. This is what you call the Osirian Trinity or the road to Sirius. Okay. So as above, which is the law of correspondence, as above, so below. So in order to get to Sirius, and I'm talking about Sirius A, Sirius B, or Sirius C, and again, don't believe me, look this up, fact check me. Okay, you'll see that that's a direct line to the Orion's belt. You've heard of this in Men in Black 1. Okay, remember he was looking for Orion's belt, and Orion's belt was on the cat's neck, or the mouth, as the Cometians would say. Okay, and if you look at any Kemetic iconography, you'll see that they always kept cats next to them, or even statuettes or hieroglyphic pictures of cats. Right? There's even a picture of a cat like with a knife chopping down the snakes, okay, meaning chopping down negative urges and things like that. So when you look, you can see even on this top picture, you can see there's like a snake type image as well, showing a concurrence of energy. And also with these pyramids, right, there's also a concurrence of energy, which they're not going to tell you, but there's a reason why they're aligned to Orion's belt. There's a reason why they're structured one small, one medium, and one huge, the Great Pyramid, what they call it, right? And which are basically meditate. They're not simply tombs or tombs at all. They're meditation centers. Pyra, pyramid, pyro means fire, right? Middle, fire in the middle, aka the heart, right? When in Kemet, right, they don't care about the brain. They didn't give a fuck about the brain. So what they did was they took the brain, right, and they threw that shit out. They threw that shit out, right? They don't give a fuck about the brain and a lot of the organs. What they preserved was the heart. Okay, what they preserved was the heart and put it in a jar because the heart, right, is what they weighed on a scale. That is the importance of the heart. That is the importance of being heartfelt, right? That is who you truly are. And the heart corresponds to your breath. The word spirit means breath. Etymology of the word spirit means breath. And your breathing controls your mood. It controls your energy. When you're breathing fast, you're usually angry or upset or doing something assertive or aggressive. When you're breathing slow, you relaxed, right? A good mood, and so forth and so on. Gut, heart, this is a good question. Gut, heart, braid would each represent man, woman, and child. Correct. That's another great abstract. I didn't even think to say that, but yes, shout out to Ultra Instinct for that. All right. Great question. Yes. And it does represent man, woman, and child and the divine family. Also, when you think of man, woman, and child, you ultimately think of creation. The man and the woman come together if you're doing the right thing in relationships, right? You're ultimately coming together to make each other better. Okay. That's the goal of being in a relationship. Not because he wears, designer and drives a nice car and has a big house. Not because she has a big booty, big breasts, right? And she knows how to twerk and she gives you that double hand golf cork 3000, right? That's not the basis of a good relationship. A good relationship is I see something in this person where they could help me grow. I see she say something in me that can help her grow. We enjoy each other's company. We got a good sense of humor, right? We both have empathy for each other. If I'm down, I know she got me. Vice versa, if she's down, she know I got her, and that's a good relationship. And now you bring our child into the mix, right? New life, right? Which is what the pathway is of creation, right? You're bringing new life. This also corresponds to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding as well. Because understanding, when you understand something, right? When you left the church and decided to come into this way of life, you had a new frame of understanding. So it was new life. It's considered to is equivalent to a baby being born, right? What the great poet Nas, he said in Nas's Life, he said clipsage, he said, what do you say? Shit. Life or death, clips inserted. A baby being born, same time a kid is murdered, the beginning or end, right? So there's that balance. But when you're creating a child, this new life, it's not your legacy, because your legacy is what you do here. Your child cannot live your legacy. Your legacy is your legacy. A lot of people say that, oh, dude, my children are my legacy. No, they're not. They're their children. They got their own legacy. You got to create yours. Stop living through your fucking children, right? Create your own legacy. So, but yeah, it corresponds to man, woman, and child, which is the foundation of family, right? Which is the foundation of family, man, woman, and child, and which is the foundation of any community. So when you talk about a spell being brought upon us, again, like I said before, how many of us talk about the children? How many of us are talking about the children and child suicide rates here on YouTube? How many of us are talking about what our kids' report cards were last year? How many people are posting their kids' report cards on Instagram? You see a lot of school clothes and what they're wearing and the designer they put on them and the backpacks and how cute they look. But what about their mind? What about their achievements? Right? You see that very few and far between where you see a kid that's exceptional. See that very, very, very seldom represented. But oh, I could see how I'm talking about modern women and how men are trash, and you see that all day, right? So the man, woman, and child would be part of the focus. So great, 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 great comment. Great comment, also. I appreciate that. But yeah, that also corresponds to coming into this energy of resurrection. And the child is ultimately the resurrection of you, because they contain your DNA and the mother's DNA, or if you're a woman, vice versa. All right, so I want to show you how that corresponds to the Trinity as well, and man, woman, and child being the ultimate Trinities, and gut, heart, and brain, right? And also to show you how these are energetic parallels, not just physical things, the logos or the images representing these energetic parallels. Let's keep going. So we just talked about Orion's belt, right? You see up here. So now we're talking about the Ori again, okay? So the Ori or Alliance belt, right, corresponds to the mind or the mindset. So it says practitioners traditionally believe that daily life depends on proper alignment, proper alignment, proper alignment, proper alignment, and knowledge of one's Ori, right? I put Ori or Orion, Orion. Think it's a coincidence that it's named Orion's belt? I don't think so. Ori literally means the head, but in spiritual matters, is taken to mean a portion of the soul that determines personal destiny and success. Ashe is the life force that runs through all things, or Ashe, living and inanimate. Ashe is the power to make things happen. It is an affirmation that is used in greetings and prayers, as well as a concept of spiritual growth. Orisha devotees strive to obtain Ashe through Iwapele, research that on your own, or gentle and good character, which is what we've been talking about, right? And in turn, they experience alignment with the Ori, what others might call inner peace and satisfaction with life. Ashe is the divine energy that comes from Olodumare, the creative destiny, creative deity, and is manifested through Olorun, who rules the heavens and is associated with the sun. Now I put this there just to show you. If you look on the left, you see like this picture. It looks like a Christ, but it is represented of the Ori or the head or the Christ consciousness. And remember, Christ had a crown of thorns. I think I've said this in many videos. This corresponds with the colostrum. I've showed this in many videos. You could go back and look, where there's a literal crown of thorns that go around your brain right now and lights up when you are doing things like when dopamine is produced in the brain, or when oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is produced in the brain, right? All these hide things. Even when the pineal gland is secreting, zinc, gold, copper, and these things that the pineal gland secretes, that part of the brain will light up. When meditation, right, deep meditation, that crown, that colostrum in the brain lights up as well. Okay, so and you see that that Ori corresponds to Orion, so it is still back into that as above, so below. So ancient pictures have Jesus, the Son of Man. I wrote all this, by the way. This was actually a Facebook post. Ancient pictures also always have Jesus, the Son of Man, pointing his right hand at his heart, which you see right here. Well, I don't know if y'all can see my my mouse, but you see where his right hand is, pointing to the heart, right? Which is also called the seat of the soul. Okay, and his left hand pointing up to the brain, the soul controller. Okay, so the soul corresponds to SOL, which is the sun. Okay, and that is your body. Okay, I talked about black body radiation and how that works. Go back and look at that video. All right, that's towards the end of the last video that I did. The ability to control your feelings in order to make clear decisions is self mastery number 101. Okay, if you can't control your feelings and even ignore them at times, then you can't control yourself. Someone who knows how to control your feelings, the government, the media, the news cycle, right? The priests, the prophets, the scammers, the influencers, right, will always control you. If someone other than you can control you, then you are a slave. Oh, this the government. Yeah, he got convicted. Yeah, there's DNA evidence, but it's the government trying to take out our brothers and sisters. Okay? If someone other than you can control you, then you are a slave and can be led like a sheep or a dog to work for your controller's benefit and against your own. You will love your master because you feel like they are doing the right thing, even when it's wrong. So, free will, the skill of free will that we've been talking about, or going on the crossroads, is a skill that is harnessed. It is a skill. It does take time. It does take work through meditation, focused meditation, solitude, and breath work. Okay. So, El Cristo Negro is a deity that is celebrated in South America. This is in particular what I read about was in Panama. On 10/21 in Panama, they have a festival where they celebrate El Cristo Negro. Okay. So is Jesus an Orisha? Yes. Jesus is an Orisha. Okay. El Cristo Negro. Okay, there is, and you've seen Krishna and all these other deities. So this is why the whole Jesus motif, right, connected to Horus and Krishna and all that. This is why it has power. This is why your grandmothers and grandfathers and your fathers and mamas are like, well, I'm sticking with Jesus because they prayed for something and something happened. Yes, it's the placebo effect. Yes, it's the crossroad. It's the power of the mind, the imagination. If I believe that this remote right here, right, is going to save me, if I believe that this remote is going to save me, it's going to bless me in some way, guess what? And something good happens, then I'm going to praise the remote. Okay? I'm going to praise the remote. And I'm going to go to the place where I bought the remote and say that that is a divine, holy place. All right? It's no different than going to the restaurant, eating the good food, and being that the food is so tasty that you start praising the food and that you start praising the restaurant. I mean, so this is also dealing with that crossroad energy. Okay, the biggest spell that they put on melanated people is having you think that this is God. This white boy is God. Okay, you think that this is the person. Well, not you. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying you. I'm speaking in what do they call it? Her hyperbole, right? But you think that this white boy or the masses of melanated people, you got Bible belts and all that, right? All across the world, right? Missionaries have come to tell you that God doesn't look like you. I'm gonna tell y'all something, right? I've seen people that do this work, right? Occult work and things like that. And I've seen them on panels where white men have come on the panels, white occultists. And I've seen their fucking faces light the fuck up. Light up. Big smiles. Almost in a trance. These are people that I respect too, that are knowledgeable. Right? I've seen black people talk all this black power, kill them up, shoot them up shit. And the minute they around white people, they're all smiles. Hey, boss. Hey, how you doing? You know those people you've worked with who got all this shit to say about the boss behind his back, but as soon as they're in their face, they kissing their ass. Especially if they're white. You've seen people excuse, right, certain behavior because white people are better. You've heard people, you know what I'm saying, say, oh, well, look at how white people carry themselves, or this is the way white people do it, or this is the way white people handle this, or whatever, as if somehow that they are better than you. This is the spell that they have put on you, not only with the fear of the devil and the fear of demons and the fear of you going to hell, right? But the other spell of the Caucasian or the European being the Most High. And until this image, this graven image, right, which is what it is, it's a dead man. Jesus is, I always tell people, Jesus is a dead ancestor if you believe this is really a true man that existed, right? I'm not going to get into that debate here because that's neither here nor there. That he's a dead ancestor. It's ancestor worship at the end of the day. They ain't going to tell you that. But ain't Jesus died and was resurrected? Yeah, he was resurrected and flew up in the sky, but he still died. Still was a dead motherfucker. So still a dead ancestor. And if he flew up in the sky, he ain't here. So it's ancestor worship. But they don't tell you that. Because the whole goal is to have you tie your, and it's even with European mysticism, right? Some of these things I hear people say about Yaldabaoth and the archons and, you know, and some of these theories and ideas, voodoo, Ifa, the Netzeru, there's enough mysticism and ATRs, African traditional religions, Lukumi, Santeria, you pick it. Even hoodoo, Louisiana hoodoo. There's enough mysticism in our cultures to blast the Golden Dawn and the order of this. You know what I'm saying? All these different orders and societies out of the motherfucking frame. The problem is most melanated people don't see that. Most melanated people don't see this, right? And if they do, they still see it, even in El Cristo Negro, right? This brother on the right still sees it from a colonial, colonized mindset. You see, when the missionaries came, right? When the missionaries came, there's a book, Things Fall Apart. I forgot the author's name. Book Things Fall Apart. And he talks about how when the missionaries came, right? And one of the things he says is when the missionaries came, we had the land and they had the Bibles. Once they left, right? Once the missionaries left, they had the land and the people had the Bibles, right? See, the missionary work was to spread this idea. This is what Constantine himself was doing as a conqueror, right? As a military officer, right? Going to war. And they would use the cross, right? The crossroads, which we explained earlier, as a medium because they know the science. They knew the science. They were studying in these libraries and these mystery schools, right? Napoleon went into the pyramid and came out with a revelation. So did Constantine, right? They know the magic of these places. So, and the mysticism behind these places. So when they came, they basically colonized not only the body, not only enslaved the body, Not only colonize the land, but they also colonize the mindsets. So the missionary miseducation fucked melanated people all up. So the more of us that wake up out of this slumber, and this is why it's so important. Thank you, Sly. My chat, I love my chat. Y'all are geniuses. Yep, Chinua Achebe. Exactly. Things Fall Apart. Great book, by the way. Short book, good story. If you never read it, I would urge you to read it. Yep. Roots album the same way, same name. Yep, you on it. Yep. Shout out to the chat. Yep, you were on Ultra Instinct. Yep, Chinua Achebe. Roots album of the same name. Yep, exactly. There's a Roots album called Things Fall Apart. But yeah, and even if you think of the name, Things Fall Apart. Look at our communities, right? There's churches on every corner. Churches on every corner. You know, people aren't getting better in our community, but the churches, with all the churches, there's mega churches, big churches, small churches, medium-sized churches. There's a church for everybody. If you're gay, there's a church. If you're straight, there's a church. If you handicapped, there's a church. Your kids church, right? There's church for everybody. Kids service, 3 services a week, right? This is the same thing they did to the pilgrims, right? First thing they did to the pilgrims is put them in schools to train them, right? What do you think? What do you see the presidents doing? As soon as they get elected, that first week, they go to Sunday service, right? They go to church. The etymology of the word church means portal, okay? The etymology of the word church means portal. So a church is essentially a portal to put you in a trance. What do you do when you go to church? You listen to the organs, which tap into the organs of your body. Doom, doom. And when Jesus comes, and he's riding on a horse of righteousness, and when you see God in your life, and you come to the knowing of Jesus, I tell you, brothers and sisters, you feel like everything, right? And he might do a 2-step and a dance, right? And he's tapping into your emotions with the organ, right? And they got an altar right there in front. And what the altar have on it? A cross. Has a cross on it. The crossroads. Okay? Has a crossroads right there. A cross on it for you. So this is what they are doing. Ultra said, yeah, I can't stand me either. But it's entertaining. Okay? It's all about entertaining and seeing how they could tap into your emotional body. You know what I'm saying? This is why Heru is devoid of emotions, because I could sit in that same church today. Look, I like going, I'm going to be honest with you, I like going to church. Sometimes I'll go to church just for the choir. And if they talk about Jesus and they talk about the Christ, I could correspond that to my will. I could correspond that to my Christ consciousness. I'm an alchemist, so I can alchemize that and use it for my benefit. You understand? And you could do the same thing too. This is not about avoiding things. This is about being able to use everything in life to your benefit to see what can you gain from this and how can it help you grow. The same way, if you got a flower by a window, you'll notice those fucking branches always are going toward the light, because that's how it's going to grow and expand. And that's the same thing you want to do in your day-to-day life, in the things that you watch, in the books that you read, in the things that you look at on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. Right? You could use this energy to your benefit. I like the choir. Choir gets me in a certain vibration, right? But I know I'm never going to be a Christian, right? I've been there, done that, grew up in it, right? I grew up Jehovah's Witnesses for years, and I studied it in prison, right? To the point where ain't no way. Now I know why a lot of people go, especially when they get older, because there's fellowship. And we got to keep that real. There's no fellowship really in the conscious community, or I don't even want to say the conscious community, the subconscious community, because the conscious community is the con man community. The conscious community has become the con man community, right? So if you still in there, sign letters and this one and that one, and brother this and brother that, just be careful. Guard your mind. I ain't telling you what to do, but just be careful. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, a lot of people are getting exposed, and a lot of people are mad that people are getting exposed, but those people are showing who they truly are. And I want to say this: if you really think that they're setting people up for touching children, like at this rate, then and you're not defending the children, then it shows why all these kids are committing suicide. It shows why all these kids don't want to fuck with their parents. It shows why the kids are doing drills and they have no real guidance. Because you'll believe someone that tapped your emotions. You'll believe the preacher. You'll believe the prophet so and so. You'll believe the brother so and so. You'll believe the king or queen so and so over your own child. Right? My virginity got taken by an older person. They were melanated too. Right? There's pedals in our community. You can't act like it doesn't exist. And they need to be flushed the fuck out. And some of these people are smart, doctors, lawyers, right? Not spiritual at all. Good jobs, good careers, make a lot of money. Look at all the rumors about P. D. Diddy allegedly and, taking advantage of artists, and Clive Davis of Arista Records allegedly, sleeping or trying to sleep with his artist, right? These things happen. There's a lot of pedophiles out here. Even if you look at Brother Polite, right? Do you think if you take Brother Polite's clothes and all of the jiggy shit and all the highfalutin $20 bill words, right? If you look at that guy, do you think he was getting pussy like at 10, 12, 13? Or do you think he was looking for the easy lick? Rest in peace to Crypto Roots, who invested $1,000 with him. That his grandmother left him an inheritance of $100,000, and he gave it to Brother Polite, and got taken advantage of, and it got taken and died while he was fighting the case of an asthma attack because of the stress. Look at these schools that are supposed to be built, right? The ABCDEFG Academy. How many years, right? When Q Butter and all these other people have schools. So the key is, what up, Lindsay? Peace and Lindsay. The key is, right? What do you really, really care about? As Hollow said earlier, do you care about man, woman, and child? Right? It's a great point. I'm so happy you said that. Or Ultra Instinct, my bad. But yeah, man, woman, and child, right? That's the foundation of this shit, right? Gut, heart, and brain, man, woman, and child, or Ser, or Set, then Heru, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, right? These themes keep coming up. Even in the Indian pantheon, Vishnu, Krishna, and shit. Forget the third one, but maybe one of y'all in the chat will tell me. But there's all these trinities, right? All corresponding to man, woman, and child. So yeah, we got to protect our babies, like Lindsay said. We got to start putting the focus back on them and not on the internet and on these fucking teachers. And take the things that we learn and bring them back to the house and make it practical. No, not Pavarotti. Not Pavarotti, Ultra. Not Pavarotti. It's Vishnu, Krishna, and fuck. Who's the third one? Hold on. I could literally see the image, but the name's not coming to me. But there is a trinity. But anyway, I don't want to waste time doing this. But yeah, all these ancient cultures or religion. Shiva, thank you, Israelite. Thank you. I got a great chat. Shiva, right? Thank you, thank you. That's what I needed. I appreciate that. Shout out to you. Shout out to Sly too for dropping it. And yeah, so there's trinities, but they all correspond to this particular energy. Let's keep going. So when we're talking about, right, something like this spell that has been put on us, right? to make us feel like, and this is why we haven't risen. This is why, if you want to call the melanated community, right? If you want to call the so-called black community, which I don't know where the black community is, if you could point me there, I'll gladly go. Is it Atlanta? That can't be because niggas is getting jacked for their cars left and right and shut up. So, community, from what I have studied, is neighbors and set families that work together. Man, woman, and child is working together for a greater good, a common unity, community. I don't see much of that in our neighborhoods. I don't even see neighborhood watches, right? So people have come to, and until, and this is why things are getting better even now. Like, I don't want to just look at the losses, I want to look at the wins. But this is the spell that has been put on us in the so-called melanated community. And I'm using that just for talking point's sake, right? Or the diaspora. That's actually a better word. The diaspora of melanated people all across the world believe this. People in Africa, people in England, people in Australia, right? They believe that the white boy is coming to save them one day. That when they die, this is in their mind, this is in their dreams, this is in their subconscious. It's been repetitiously fed. There's statues, there's logos, right? We talk about the logos and how a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? We all know these images because they've been repetitiously fed to us, repetitiously fed, repetitiously seen through commercials, through advertisement, through print advertisement, through internet advertisement, right? That's how they catch you on your smartphone, right? You'll talk about, like, for instance, I'm gonna say something like Cornish hens, right? Cornish hens. And watch, when I get off this shit, there's gonna be an ad for Cornish hens when I go on the internet, or if I search Facebook or internet or Instagram, right? Or if I go on a website, there's gonna be an ad for Cornish hens, because that's how it works. It's the repetition, it's the logos. All right, it's the logos. And I didn't cover this, the naming of animals, right? Remember, there were animals, according to the story of Genesis, or Gene Isis, or the resurrection of Genesis, or the actual creation. Again, that's a mythology. You can't take that literal, because if you take it literal, right, especially this is going to the women, then y'all are evil off the bat. It's Eve that heard the snake, and it's Eve that gave Adam the apple. So a Christian man could also justify why women ain't shit. And if you're Christian, they could also always justify why women should be subordinated and get half pay, because she's the one who gave Adam the apple, right? According to that story. But no, the Eve is actually, now you see that that's the gut, right? It's a representation. The tree is the spine, right? It's a representation. And the snake is the energy, the kundalini, right? The R complex, the reptilian energy, right? And also in the giving of Adam the apple, right? And him saying, the snake saying, you'll know good and bad, is when you wake up, right? You know good and bad. You're not a slave. You're not a puppet, right? So that's like a short breakdown. I don't want to go too deep, so I'll be here forever. But the naming of animals is basically the identification or the association of shit. I don't know. Actually, I don't. I wrote that for a reason, but I think I'm getting tired because I had a point of this, or how the logos, or how the influence of the naming, or the naming of something. That's what I want to say. How the naming of something, right? Logos is a word speech principle, right? How it gives identity, or how it gives a form to something. So when you say Jesus is your savior, right, you're ultimately saying, or I can't do anything unless it's through Jesus, right? You're ultimately giving it power and form. You're ultimately giving it energy. It's like in what's that show? Branding. Exactly. Great point. Branding, right. Just like in marketing. My chat, man, I love y'all. Shout out to his real life. It's a great branding. Exactly. So that's how. So that's branding, right? That's how you identify with something. Okay. And it's the same thing with the McDonald's, the Nike, the Louis Vuitton logo. It's how you identify with a certain thing and what it is. Okay. So I had a point, but I forgot it. When he said branding, I was like, yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? The branding of something, and the branding of Jesus as a savior is what's holding us back, because we're not tapped into our traditional religions. We're not trapped into our traditional cultures. And this culture is obviously not working for us. And it's obviously working for the people that are being deified as gods. And again, I've seen woke people, I've seen occultists, I've seen metaphysical people. When white people come in the room, they change and they transform into subservient people. It's out there on the internet, right? And I'd be shocked as fuck. But I understand this is a spell that has been conditioned upon us and our ancestors for years and years and years. And the more of us wake up, and as we're waking up, that's why things are getting so-called better, even though things are falling apart out in the world or whatever, whatever. But melanated people are making strides, right? My daughter goes to a school, her kids got money. You know, kids, when I was young, we was all poor if we wasn't selling drugs, right? But in her school, even in junior high, they streaming on Twitch. They got YouTube channels, right? They're got online businesses, right? At 13, 14. They're learning about financial literacy through the internet, right? They're studying, they're learning through these videos. They have information at the palm of their hand, things I didn't have growing up, right? I didn't have this growing up. This is a powerful tool if you use it correctly. All right, let's continue. Where am I? Oh, let me put this back up. So we're almost done, y'all. I appreciate y'all rocking with me on a Sunday night. Where am I? So yeah, so El Cristo Negro. If you have to decondition yourself, right, from you're watching me right now and you're new to this and you just started waking up in consciousness, fuck with El Cristo Negro. You know what I'm saying? Learn, give him his offerings. You know what I'm saying? And fuck with El Cristo Negro on the 21st. Like tap into that energy, get that shit up out of you. You know what I'm saying? And you could use this energy as a force. Like it's a force just like all the deities and Orishas are. I'm not saying obviously Jesus is a force because the missionaries managed to conquer all these melanated nations. So obviously there's force energy around it. There's willpower around it, which is which I've showed you guys all through this video. Not going back. There's force to show that there is power behind it. So when people say, is there power in Jesus's name, right? Or the branding of Jesus, yes. Just like there's power in Louis Vuitton. Be saying that, you think in luxury. There's power in Nike. You saying that, you think in Jordan, sports sneakers, expensive sneakers. There's power in McDonald's. I say that, you thinking of food, feeding your belly, right? There's power in the brand. There's power in the naming of it, which is why it's used in marketing. So if you need to decondition yourself, think of Jesus as black. Go into your meditations. But you'll notice if you haven't been doing spiritual work, you'll notice even me just saying Jesus, you think of a white man if you're not thinking of this picture. And this is the spell. These between the crossroads, the cross, and these images, right? This image of this dude is, and the non-decoding of it is what has caught us in a motherfucking slumber. All right. And so this is how you get out of it. All right. You got to study and live your ancient melanated traditions, okay, of wisdom. All right. So this is a good start. You could start with the 7 African powers, okay? Start doing the rituals, you know what I'm saying? Start just understanding their colors, understanding their tendencies, and they all correspond to nature. Quick rundown. I ain't gonna go too deep into this. I'll save that for another video. But Oshun is the goddess of love, right? Also deals with imagination and joy. Alekba, we've been talking about that. The crossroads, decision making, logic, reasoning, and also tricks. Okay, trick knowledge. Okay, that you got to figure out. Yemaya, the goddess of water, also deals with devotion, birth, and motherhood. Obatala, you could say that's like the quote unquote God type figure in this pantheon. Also deals with divination, deals with you in your higher self. That's why he's wearing all right, right? This Obatala is also Asor or Osiris in the Kemetic tradition. right? Just like Yemaya is Set. Shango, which is also corresponds to Jesus. Shango is a war deity, deity of iron. No, I'm sorry, lightning. Shango, lightning, fire, those type of things. You could correspond that even to Thor, right? In the Marvel comics. And this is also corresponds to that Jesus or Christ energy, where they got it from, one of the deities as well. Ogun is the war god. You see, he's got the sword and the iron, right? The what do they call that? The iron anchor or something like that, right? And works with iron and war, things like that, battling justice. And you have Orula, which is also called Arumala, which would be your Tahuti or your thought, dealing with divine wisdom, magic, and divination, readings, cowrie shells, tarot cards, oracles, etc., right? So these are, so the more people, and you don't have to tap into this pantheon, right? You don't have to tap into just this. There's there's the Netzaru and the Kemetic pantheon. There's plenty. Condoble, there's Lukami, there's whatever your soul, start studying, right? This path requires study. Like, you can't just meditate and sit back and listen to speakers and listen to me in order to become what you want to become. Now, if you just want to go through your life and go, whatever, like, go through your life, live your life how you want to live. But if you want to rise spiritually, if you want to have peace of mind, if you want to have spiritual power, if you want to be able to overcome and be able to cope with your hardships without taking psychotropic drugs or being prescribed, antidepressants and shit that's fucking up your mind, and eventually it's going to give you Alzheimer's disease, and when you get older, it's going to, do even worse and have you in dazes and shit like that, and have you dumbed down, taking Toradol and all these other things, right? The deities will help. They'll tell you which herbs. You'll get downloads. Oh, let me look up this herb. Oh, this works. Okay, St. John's wort and ashwagandha will put me in a better mood if I drink it for at least a week or two. Like, I'll start feeling better about myself no matter what I'm going through. This is what happened to Rob Blackstorm. Real tales of a real story. Okay, constantly suffering from depression. When I decided to not make myself a victim, right? Because a lot of us want to be victims because being a victim is easy. The devil made me do it. The government, it's society holding me back. They kill all our leaders. Look at how they always doing us. The cops, if I see the cops, oh shit, let me get scared because I done watched all these cop videos with George Floyd and this and that. So let me be nervous, right? This is how you're being conditioned through media, right? And social media at that, right? Overall media, even your friends and family who are conditioned by media as well and by propaganda. So when you tap into these melanated traditions, right, and these wisdom teachings, and even if you're South American, Aztec, whatever, right? Whatever, right? Ancient, and even it all goes back to melanated sources, by the way, because we're the ones that spread the spiritual. We are the keys. We are the keys to spirit, right? Now, not saying European people or white people don't have claim or they can't work to get there, but it's much easier for you and I, right? It's much easier than you and I. This is why, even if you see like the Caucasians that are in secret societies, and Negroes have copied it like idiots, but back in the day, in the 80s and shit, when you saw Caucasians wearing fezzes, right? Those red fezzes, they had the sword, right? Instead of the crescent and the star, it was a sword and the star. Because the teaching was that if you didn't do at least 35 to 55 years of study, you would get your neck chopped off, right? Because you're out here spreading shit that you didn't know. That wasn't the case for melanated means that went through the mystery schools, the ancient mystery schools, which is where the real secret societies came from, which is where Masonry even came from. So the more of us wake up to our ancient indigenous traditions and reject aspects of Christianity. Now, this is not me telling you to go out and try to save your mom and your daddy, your cousin, your auntie, your sister, your brother, your baby daddy, your baby mama, right? No. Once they see you living a certain lifestyle, Once they see you acting a certain way, once they see you shining, once they see your life changing, once they see the impact you have on your children's life, then they'll come to you for help. They want to know what you're doing. This is not missionary work. We ain't Christians. We ain't here to save the world. We're here to save those who want to be saved. I got a lot of friends from different walks of life that don't know nothing about no chakras, nothing about no seven African powers, nothing about no El Cristo Negro, nothing about a goddamn spirit bath. But they're still my friends, right? There's times where when you go to battle or go to war with something, especially when you're younger, you can't bring no conscious nigga or no subconscious nigga with you. You got to bring an animal. You got to bring a set type of nigga with you. You got to bring a set ass nigga with you that's ready to get down, ready to get raw. So I don't throw people away. But when people ask me certain questions and people question certain shit I do, I'm gonna do it. There's my Instagram and my Facebook. I talk about these things. You know what I'm saying? There's people that I worked with, people, that don't engage with some of the content. That's okay. And I'm not saying you should do it the way I did it. This is just the way I choose to do it because I want to break out of the fear. Me personally, I want to break out of the fear of people judging me. So that's why I kept it. I didn't, people like, oh, create a separate page, a business page. I'm like, nah, I'm going to keep it on the same page. Rob Blackstone. That's it. I'm just going to change the name. Rob_Blackstone is my Instagram if you want to follow me, right? And I, there's people that fell off, there's people that left and things like that. That's all right. But the truth, my heart, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is my lifestyle. Where I'm at, this room is a temple. There's mad books in here. There's mad pictures reminding me of who I am. Mad art and shit reminding me of who I am. Let's keep it pushing. We almost done. I'm going to run through these last 3 slides. So as I said, damn, I went further than what I thought. But as long as the diaspora worships white Jesus, they will worship the right man in all, not some, in all finance, relationships, economics, social issues, right? You see that day after day after day after day. And don't let nobody have some money, right? Oh, man. All them morals and all that black power shit gonna go out the window. You see what happened to Brother Polite once he started getting some money? Well, that black power shit went out the window. He started dating Becky. He started showing you Becky's on his thing, right? That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is when you're not living this shit and all you have is knowledge. Your character will show. You'll see it. The character, the energy you put out, the cause and effect, right? The cause and effect is going to display. That's why people get exposed, and that's why people are going to jail. And that's why you see a lot of people that wasn't here giving you advice and helping you through the pandemic. Rob did. So if you look at this bottom sentence, right, you'll see that, you see the melanated people in a big ass mega church on the left, waiting for, having their hands out, waiting for somebody to come save them. And at the bottom, it says, thus we seek to put the fear of God into the natives. Okay, this is what the missionaries were doing. Okay, the fear of God, right? Their sneakers called Fear of God, by the way. Into the natives at the point of the bayonet. Bayonet, that's the knife at the end of the motherfucking rifle, back in the days. And excuse ourselves for the bloody work on the plea of the benefits which we intend to confer afterwards. I talked about this movie, but I want to show you. It should come up. And I think you may be able to watch this on Facebook, but this movie, let me make sure y'all can see. I see. So it should be bugging. Okay. So this movie, Agora, right? It'll break down, and I think it's on YouTube, but it'll break down exactly how Christianity came into existence. And it came into existence by the bayonet. Okay, so you can screenshot this if you need to. It's on YouTube. It might be free. It might not be. I don't know. But you guys know how to hit this fire stick and all that to pull up what you want to watch or whatever. Great film, though. Great film. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And it'll give you a different perspective, even if you're a Christian, on how bloody, how evil this motherfucking religion came into existence. Really, how evil it is. So the fear of God is what's controlling most people. They don't want to go to hell. They don't want to get hit by demons. Now, I'm not saying don't wear, certain crystals for protection, like black tourmaline or, onyx and um, obsidian and things like that, right, to protect you, or Solomon seals or whatever, as I told y'all before in another video about money, right? I'm not saying that because there is negative energy out here, right? You do want to be spiritual protected. That's the point of having magic or knowing magic, so that you could avoid bullshit as much as possible. But you also have to know that bullshit will come and it shall come. And it's designed to help you grow. If you look at it like that. Or you could play victim and it's the devil and it's something outside of you that did it, right? Or you could look at it as a learning lesson. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Just like it hurts lifting weights to build muscle. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Just like it hurts for you to get up in the morning to go to work, right? You don't want to do it, but you do it because there's a benefit to it. It's the same thing. So how I imagine evil as a kid, this is on the right, how it actually looks. So the demons that they present to you, the Doja Cat demons videos and, the sexy red and Sukianas that everybody's scared of, the devil doesn't come to you like that. Dracula doesn't come to you like that. Whenever you see Dracula, right, what Eddie Murphy, Vampire in Brooklyn, right, the motherfucker was fly as hell, have fly cars, right? Even if you look at Bram Stoker's Dracula, they always are classy, gentlemen, look upstanding, right? Men of means and power, right? That's always how it is. Now, obviously, Bill Snakes is doing evil, right? This is not, he's actually doing lower vibrational shit, right? He's actually doing animalistic, demonic shit for his own survival, for his own benefit, right? He doesn't care about the people for real, for real. Don't believe that, right? All you got to do is look at his history of the in melanated people's countries, and you'll see the lawsuits. You'll hear about the what do they call it, when the medical malpractices, or the medical malpractice, I should say, that happened. And the goal is to keep melanated people a permanent underclass. And this is the spell that's cast that does so, and it's religion. As long as you see the white man as God, I don't care how good you think you are, how holy and righteous. As long as this is in your mind, as long as you ain't doing shit and you're not doing no type of spiritual work, this is going to dominate because you've been conditioned. It's in your DNA. It's in your ancestors' DNA when they were prisoners of war, aka slaves, when they were colonized in Africa, when they were colonized. Those of you who claim that your ancestors were already here, when they were quote Native Americans, right? Blackfoot Indians, Gullah Geechee, right? They've been conditioned to believe that this Jesus is your God. It's in you. It's on all of us, unfortunately. So you got to repetitiously get it the fuck out. So use the Chem Pata, use the computer. Chem means darkness, Pata is speech. Don't let it use you. Teach your kids, okay? We got technology out here today. This is not 1940. This is not 1950. This is not Malcolm X time. You are not banging against the white man. They got drones. They will shoot your ass up. They will take you the fuck out of here, all right? They will lock you up for 1 billion years, right? Just like, what is dude, NFC crew, not fucking around crew, right? What is his name, Blastmaster or some shit or whatever, right? They will fuck you up out here. They will fuck you up out here. So don't think that that's way. And they're watching all of us. We're in a heavily surveilled since 9/11, which is technically right now here in New York. We've been under heavy surveillance. Everything is surveilled. The phone, what I'm saying is tapped. What you're saying is tapped. You got a smartphone in your house that can look at you. This is all verifiable. Your smartphone can look at you, which the companies have came out and let you know, right? So all this shit about you banging this and you going to war with this and you're going to get the man, you ain't getting shit but a headache and a hard time. And look at all the, and then learn from history, learn from your ancestors. Look at all the political prisoners who tried and doing a shithole of life sentences or a million years, like Matula Shakur and damn, I can see the brother, but I can't. Geronimo Pratt, right? And all these other brothers and sisters that were Ashada Shakur who had to flee, right? Got break out of prison, had to flee to another country and is still in hiding, right? And can't even and doesn't even speak anymore, right? If you read the book of Sada, that's a brilliant mind, man. We could use her nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Her history, her knowledge, but she can't because she doesn't want to get locked up. So is that the burden you're willing to go for motherfuckers that watch Love and Hip Hop? For motherfuckers that's putting on eyelashes that are the size of motherfucking, big, large trees? For niggas that got their pants sagging with their asses out, that are just doing drills, that are fucking with the community for no reason, that are harassing the smart kids in school that just want to work and do their business, right? And they're calling them nerds and fucking with them, right? Be careful with these platforms. Rob Blackstorm, I always take a break, right? I always take a break from doing videos. There's times you guys don't see me posting. I don't post every day, right? I take breaks. I might take a week. I might take 2 weeks off. Doesn't mean something bad is happening to me. Sometimes it means I'm learning new shit. Like April, Financial Literacy Month. I want to learn how to trade options. So that was my focus. I couldn't be focused on those chakras and teaching. I had to focus on getting my shit right so I could have a skill that could take care of my family for the rest of my life. And I could fund my trips and the things I love to do. Right? So, and I could teach it to my kids. So use the benefits of technology. AI is coming. It's unavoidable. I don't care how much you haul and ham, and Neuralink is coming. The chips are coming. There's going to be a crossroads. You're going to have to make a decision. You could teach your kids. You can invest in it now. Tesla and NVIDIA. I'm not a financial advisor, but Tesla and NVIDIA. You can invest in the future because AI is coming. Electric vehicles are coming. You're not going to stop it. This is the future. We're in the age of Aquarius. This is part of it. So Chem is the dark nan or the darkness, and Ptah is speech, right? So it's equivalent to dark and light because speech puts things in form, right? Just like naming the animals or branding, as my man, his real light said. So use this thing to learn about yourself. Take time away from watching the Netflix videos, Netflix series, and decoding all that shit. Yeah, it's cool to have the knowledge. It's cool, but if you can't apply none of that decoding shit, and I decode, so I'm not being a hypocrite, right? But it should be applicable. If I'm decoding something, it's applicable. Like I watched the show Adam Eve. I posted about it on my Instagram, Ron_Blackstorm. And Adam ATOM Eve was dope as fuck. And it was dope as fuck because it showed the burden of being genius, of having genius, and how some parents don't understand. That was my story. You know what I'm saying? So I related to it a lot. And some of you may relate to it that have spiritual gifts and powers, or just a sixth sense that the Christian shit ain't right, or whatever it is, right? But there's a burden to this. There's a burden to walking this path. And if you're not willing to bear your cross, so to speak, or the crossroads, right? Go back to church. It's okay. I still love you. We still love you. So get off that dopamine, right? Learn yourself. Know thyself. Okay? What's the point of being afraid of a zombie apocalypse when you're already a zombie? All right? Now you see she putting them likes up the nose. Okay? Create your own dopamine. Go outside. Have fun. Put your feet in the dirt. Turn up with your family. All right? Pour love into yourself. Exercise. Eat better. Put some good shea butter on your skin. Cut your hair. Stop looking dusty out here. You know what I'm saying? You talk about you hate women, but you looking dusty as hell. Nobody want to sleep with that. So that is the spell that is over the melanated community. That is why the melanated community is not going anywhere right now. That's why there's little increments that are happening, but the masses are still under the Christ spell, under the Jesus spell. And until that spell is broken, it's going to be, we'll be a permanent, not we. I'm not putting myself in that group because I don't identify with no groups. I don't group think. But the masses of melanated people all across the world, all across the diaspora, will still be a permanent underclass. And that is how the powers that were are trying to orchestrate the things. But the more of us that wake up and the more of us that are sincere about our practice, are sincere about becoming better people, and are sincere about self mastery, self gnosis, mastering our emotions, conquering our fears, being in tune and one with one another, and having empathy, putting yourself in other people's shoes, practicing ma'at, and learning what that is. Studying the 7 universal laws so you could say it like you said a Bible verse or the ABCs. Not so you could out talk your friends, but so that you can master yourself and recognize when you see things. I see sexy red, I ain't tripping. I see polarity. I see, okay, that must exist. It must be a wake-up call for me to go do some work. I see these things, wars proliferate. Okay, I got to put some more stuff in my bug out, my go bag. Don't be scared. Get prepared. Fear is the devil. Fear of God is the real devil. And fearing the white man as God is the biggest, hugest devil. With that being said, if anybody has any questions, you could drop them. I ain't going to wait that long, though, because I'm definitely on my 3-hour shit. But if you got any questions about anything that we discussed, I'll give y'all 60 seconds or so. And if not, thank you, Israelite. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And I wish the same for you and all of you, right? As I always say, I want everybody to become great in their own ways. You know, everybody's not supposed to be doing this work that I'm doing. Some of you have other gifts and other talents and great things, and the world needs that and needs you to come up out of it and needs you to be a positive light and a beacon of light and truth against the so-called darkness of ignorance, right? And we need, look at what's happening, right? People now, the youth can't even trust consciousness because of the Nature Boys, because of the Rashad Jamals, because of the Brother Polites, and so on and so on. And there's going to be more to come. Don't be surprised when you see more and more people getting exposed. All right. So I don't see any questions. So yeah, Ultra Instinct. I'm gonna do a video on that soon. The 7 chakras corresponding to the 7 African powers. That's a great observation, because that is what it is. That is what it is. All right, y'all. I try to keep it under 2 hours, but but I appreciate y'all tapping in. I don't see any questions. If you want a reading, hit me up for a reading. All right. I do this work. Okay. Give you good readings. I guess I'll post a video with some of the reviews. I haven't been asking for reviews lately, but I need to. So I'll get some reviews and post them so y'all know I ain't capping or I ain't trying to rob y'all for some money. And yeah, that's that. Have a great night. Have a great moon day, Monday tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow's 9/11, so you're gonna see all that propaganda, the towers, but knock down the towers in your mind. What buildings or structures in your mind are need to explode. That's how you use that, right? You see that, think of, damn, I need to start doing this, or damn, I need to get rid of this, or damn, I need to rebuild my freedom tower, right? Alchemy. You know what I'm saying? Alchemy. But you're going to see all that propaganda tomorrow. And the funny thing is, I believe 9/11 was on a moon day as well. So it's going to be an interesting time. It's going to be interesting tomorrow. Keep your head on the swivel. Stay in the light. And that's all. All right. Yeah, I don't see any. Let me see if there's anything in here. No. All right. Peace, power, and prosperity, y'all. I'm out. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And I wish all of y'all good tidings this week, and hopefully you go to Pound Town.